when I graduated college in 85, I desperately wanted to do improv. And the only place I thought you could do improv in the United States was in Chicago.
Second City or Improv Olympic.
All I knew about was Second City. So I wrote a letter to Second City.
I did that too.
And it was like, dear sirs, or madam, it was just like, I wish to do this improv. My name is Conan O'Brien. I just completed my comedic studies at the Lampoon. And I think and I've done some performing. I would like to join you. And of course, that's not how you do it. And
apparently not.
I just got a form letter back saying, go away. And but also I couldn't go to Chicago because I got a gig in LA. So I went to LA and eventually found, didn't take too long, but I found improv there, which was the Groundlings Theater.
Mm-hmm.
But years later, the Upright Citizens Brigade, I guess, started in Chicago, UCB.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then came to New York, and all these brilliant people suddenly, and we were the benefactors. When I say we, I mean the people that worked with me on the late night show. We were the benefactors because all these incredible performers showed up who had amazing chops. And I actually kind of preferred their style of improv. I thought it was really pure and great. And I know that you were a part of that whole situation.
I just say, my letter to Second City was so embarrassing because I had just graduated from college and I had read in Wired, the book about John Belushi, that he did an impression of Mayor Daley that was so popular that the audience would chant, Daley, Daley. And so I made some mention in my letter to, perhaps one day the audience will be chanting that again.
Oh, that's sweet.
And so you immediately got a job based on that quip.
But I did get it. My form letter said, well, we have our annual audition coming up. You can come up here. And I somehow interpreted that as like a personal invitation to come up and audition. All the indications were there that it was not.
Yeah.
But I did. I scheduled an audition and I had no idea what was like everybody else auditioning had been through the classes and had auditioned before and was steeped in this world. And I just showed up like, I'm here to get a job.
Yeah.
Did not go well.
You had a suitcase with lots of stickers. St. Louis.
Yeah, exactly. But no, they suggested that I should take classes. But I was living in New York and I stayed in New York. And then, it felt like Chicago came to me in 1996.
UCB showed up.
Yeah.
And what an amazing group of people. And we were fortunate, I've mentioned this before, but Amy Poehler was with UCB. And so we cast her as Andy's little sister, who had a crush on me. And she has like a big retainer, headgear.
I was in a bit of one of those bits as her boyfriend.
That's right. So tell me how that worked, because her thing was always that she was pining for me and she would stand up and interrupt the show. And then Andy would always have to break it to her that, this isn't appropriate or something. And she would suddenly turn and God, I mean, I remember Amy Poehler could take, we thought gave her good scripts and she could take whatever we gave her. Let's say we gave her a solid B or B plus script. She would turn it into an A plus 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 plus.
Yeah.
But she would turn and she would summon the devils from the deepest bowels of hell to rain down upon us.
Well, the amazing thing about those bits too is when you do a Conan bit in those days, if you were on the stage, you could have cue cards, but if you were an audience plant, there weren't cue cards because they didn't want the studio audience to get ahead and read with you. So you had to memorize it, which is unreasonable. But so Amy had those speeches
memorized,
completely memorized and committed to them like 110%. And that was very instructive and inspiring to me to watch that because I had comparatively very little to say, but the incredible things that she was doing. But so that bit was she brought along her boyfriend to try to make you jealous, basically.
Yes, that's right.
And then when it didn't work, she just, throws me under the bus completely and goes into her angry tirade.
Well, so we also benefited by having you. And then you, I think you did on my last late night show, which is 3 years ago today. I don't know when this airs.
Really?
Actually, this isn't never going to air.
Oh, wow.
No, this is just, you got a very bad diagnosis.
This is to cheer me up? This is like a Make-A-Wish thing?
Yeah, and even you're not aware that you're ill. But
that would be a better way to do it.
Yeah, no, your wife just asked, So anyway, you came on and you did something, I think on the last show.
Yeah.
And I remember just stopping you I wouldn't let you leave. I was like, ladies and gentlemen, this guy Andy Daly is the funniest person walking the earth, and
yes, I was as uncomfortable then as I am now.
I don't really mean it. I mean, I say it.
That helps. That's helpful.
Yeah, I say that to everyone.
Okay,
yeah, we just had J-Lo here. I said, you are the funniest person to ever walk the earth. She just glared at me angrily. So you do improv, and somewhere along the line, you got this conviction, because when I listen to your monologues and you tell these stories, you did another one as a leprechaun. Did you do one as a leprechaun?
Well, it's an Irish storyteller who tells stories about leprechauns.
He tells stories about leprechauns, and God, it's so dark, but you just go into it with such full commitment, and you never wink, you never break, and it's just a testament to your just conviction that this is what I'm doing, and it is 100% right.
Yeah.
And anyone who disagrees can leave, which is, I don't know, I love that. I think that's the way you have to go. And
yeah, I always felt annoyed when the host of the show after I left would go, Andy Daly, ladies and gentlemen. I was like, no, leave them thinking it's Paddy O'Hurley.
So what was the gag with Paddy O'Hurley? Because I remember it was really funny. He's an Irish storyteller who talks about leprechauns,
yes,
but he gets sidetracked, doesn't he?
I've changed it, but I think the one on the album is that he's won a Blarney contest. So this is like, whoever can tell the most fantastical stories about leprechauns and harpies and whatever wins the Blarney contest, and he's a wonderful storyteller. And so he tells the audience what his story... It's something like, I showed up for Christmas lunch and I was full and I couldn't eat a bite. And somebody said, Paddy, why are you showing up for Christmas lunch and you can't eat a bite? And I told it, and then he weaves a whole story about leprechauns and whatever. And then he says, now, but what really happened was, and then he tells what really happened, which is like, well, there was I'm a landlord, and this woman didn't pay her rent for the longest time. And I says to her, you got to pay that fucking rent. And she says, no, I don't have it. And I says, well, you know what I'll do then? I'm going to kill your cat and put it in a stew and eat that right in front of you. And that's what I did. I ate her cat.
And then I remember him going like, he does a transitional thing where he goes like, so, I don't know what it is, like the equivalent of so anyway. I forget what it was, but it was really funny.
Yeah.
Like a well.
Right. Every story begins, well, it seems one day.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
Really hilarious. How do people get, though, how can you hear all those monologues? Are they available?
Well, they're all collected on an album called 9 Sweaters, and that, I think, is on your streaming things.
Yep.
Like you can find it on your Spotify.
If you really want to laugh, these are such great monologues. They're so funny. 9 Sweaters.
Yeah.
Find that. I'm going to re-listen to it because I think about them every now and then. I realize that I got it. No, I don't have it right. I have to listen to them again.
I'd like you to memorize them.
I'm going to memorize them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because you guys had to memorize stuff for me all those years.
Yeah, exactly.
I had cue cards.
Yeah, right. You never ventured into the audience.
Those awful people. I'm not going to go in there. Every now and then people would say, Conan, why don't you drift into the audience and talk to them?
The filthy weirdos who come to this show.
Who would come to this show if they didn't have to? They're just here for free sandwiches, I suppose. How long have you and Matt Gourley been working together?
We started doing a podcast together in 2014. That was the Andy Daly podcast.
Yeah, and then you came on Super Ego. That would have been like 2011.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah. That's when I first met you.
So however many years that is between then and now.
13 years.
Could be.
Jesus.
So intimidated by math.
Yeah.
2014, whatever that could be. I guess we'll never know. Well, I don't know. It's 2024 now, so I think it's a pretty round number.
Good luck.
Well, good luck to you.
Good luck.
Never been done.
Get me some paper.
There's not a man alive who could calculate the distance between 2014 and 2024.
Many have tried and gone mad.
Gone quite insane.
Wasn't there some puzzle at like CIA headquarters or something like that you would sit and you would try to solve this puzzle, and then it turned out to have been printed wrong? There was no solution?
Really?
I believe so.
Because Dan Brown wrote a book about that after the Da Vinci Code. Yeah.
All right. All of my information is from Dan Brown books.
So you're not widely read, but you're very deeply read.
Yes, narrowly
If Dan Brown wrote it, you know all about
I know
it.
all about it. Yes. Opus Dei.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. You know what that is?
Well, because I'm Catholic?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, how were you raised? In what religious state?
Yes, same. Catholic.
Were you raised Catholic?
Yeah, but we were allowed to stop after First Communion.
Allowed to stop.
What age are you at
And
first
you can
communion?
stop now.
8. When you're 8.
And so right then you said, I'm out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were like, you can keep going to the confirmation thing, which is like at that point 6 years away, or you can stop. And I said, that stopping sounds great. Let me stop being a Catholic at the age of 8.
Have you been tempted by another religion?
No, not at all.
Oh, come on.
What? You want to sell me on one?
Yeah, sure.
I guess.
I think you'd be a Buddhist.
Oh, okay. Yeah. What does that entail?
Just you're very calm.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, centered.
Mm.
Rub your belly a lot.
That's not it.
No, it's not it. What is
no
it?
belly. You don't rub your
No, you
belly.
rub the Buddha's belly.
You rub the. I think. Well, you don't know anything about Buddhism.
When I see people with a big belly, I always just reach over and rub
no,
it.
you can't do that.
For good luck. That's going to be the next Me Too. Because
Oh.
it's going to be that if I see someone with a big old belly, I'm talking about a fella with a big old belly, I always lean over and I give it a little rub. And I go, I'm just going to give you got a big old belly, I'm going to give it a little rub, little rub-a-dub-dub.
They love it, right?
No, they always get very angry.
Oh, interesting. I would have thought.
And I say, hey, Chubs, take it down a notch. I don't know why they get so mad.
Strange. Very
Not
strange.
a good idea.
This is a bad idea.
Yeah.
There's probably some questions you want to ask me. I'm one of your heroes.
Wait, I don't recall him saying that.
What?
I don't recall
I
him
didn't get
saying
that impression at all.
Yeah, I never
I
heard
was
that.
really bummed out because I was looking at your comedy heroes here.
Oh,
John Belushi, Steve Martin, George Carlin, Martin Short, period.
what? No, there's so many more than that. It's Conan O'Brien, for instance, would be on there.
You fucked up big time.
Yeah, no,
coming in
it shouldn't
here.
have been a period there.
You were watching me as a child when I was on in the 50s and 60s.
Sure I was. Yes. No.
How old would you have been in 1993 when I come on the scene?
22 years old. Yes,
Okay.
I can well remember sitting around with friends and watching your show. We were that excited about a new host at 12:35, and gathered around to watch it.
Did you say to yourself, I'm going to one day be his good friend?
I didn't. I would have dreamed of it. No, but I do remember watching that first show with John Goodman and Tony Randall, and saying that this show cannot be this good a second time. Like I really was like, it can't be that good again.
We had a good.
Sarcastic?
No, it's actually.
I was serious. I was like, that is so above and beyond what a late night comedy talk show wants to try to be. that like
We were
it's
swinging.
unsustainable.
We were swinging for the fences on the first one, and actually the first couple, and then we started to get really. We started to realize, oh wait, we have to do thousands of these.
I know,
we
but
can't have like a.
But the idea of doing scripted sketches, scripted bits in the context of like people weren't really doing that quite to have somebody come in like John Glazer and all those hilarious people. And
one of them was your roommate, Andy Blitz.
Yeah, Andy Blitz.
Andy Blitz used to be the chanting guy in the audience. He had a couple of characters. And
I don't remember. I don't think he was there from the very beginning.
He was not there from the
Right.
beginning. No.
Yeah, Andy Blitz and I went to high school together and have been friends ever since. We did comedy together in high school. And then he wrote for you for many years.
Many years.
Yes.
And he hasn't changed at all. Every time I see Andy Blitz, he hasn't changed the way he dresses. He still dresses like a 22-year-old comedy writer, even though by my calculations now he's 81.
Again, that math, it's just about impossible to do. Can't be done.
Math is a Bermuda Triangle. They'll never figure out how to add or subtract, really.
Yeah, no way. Yeah, but I watched your show every single night until I was on it, and then I saw like, oh, once you get this close to it, it's not that great.
Yeah. Also, you met the true monster. You saw Conan O'Brien, the real Conan O'Brien. I was like, listen, Daly, you're gonna come through today, or you're a dead man. See?
No, it's
We had
so
some good times.
strange. I'm sure you've had this. It's like a show that you've seen on television so many times, and then you're actually in it. You're there.
Mm-hmm.
It's really, really weird. It's bizarre. Like the space doesn't seem at all like it seems on television.
Yeah, that's kind of the magic of that studio, which I inherited from David Letterman. He did his show from, I want to say, 82 to 93 there, and we did ours 93 to 2009. And it's a small studio.
It really
is. It was meant to be a little radio studio. And when Robert Smigel and I first saw it, we thought, well, no, this isn't big enough. It's got to be bigger. And we've got to figure out ways and then you realize, no, everything you need to do must be done in this space. And limitations. It's what I always go back to. Limitations are your friend. Any kind of limit. People that think, no, bigger. It's got to, we need an opera house. No, you don't.
Yeah.
You just need the space that you were assigned. And if it feels like it's too small, you'll figure it out.
Yeah, the weird thing is that when you cut from one camera to the other camera, the distance between those two things you're seeing could be anything to the viewer. You know what I mean?
Right.
They don't know how far away the stage is from the desk. Turns out they're not far at all.
So you're saying people that watch TV are stupid? Is that what you're saying?
So dumb.
Wow, you're a very judgmental guy.
Absolutely. Propelled by hatred.
I know you guys work together. You and Mr. Matt Gourley work together on many projects. You guys do what is it, Bananas for Bonanza?
That's right, yeah.
Which is basically, and you get to play a character you played on my show several times, Dalton Wilcox.
Yes.
Who's kind of a poet of the West.
Yeah, well, he's the poet laureate of the West, as a matter of fact. The cowboy poet. And is a big fan of Bonanza. And yeah, it's a rewatch. It's like a rewatch show of Bonanza.
Yeah.
Except that I, Andy Daly, have no particular interest in Bonanza.
Right.
But the character of Dalton Wilcox really does. So I'm in this bizarre position in life where now I do a podcast about Bonanza because a character I play would. You know what I mean?
Oh.
Yeah. So now we are watching every episode
You guys
of Bonanza.
watch
and
every
there
episode.
are 431 episodes of Bonanza.
There's only 431, unfortunately.
I know, it's too bad. And we've only got 300 some left.
Yeah, we're about to do number 61, so we're racing through them.
Dark days.
So a couple of questions. Has Adam left the show yet?
No.
Oh,
Purnell
no.
Roberts, he's still in the show.
Oh, he's still he doesn't leave till after season 5.
We did skip ahead to one episode where Haas has a run-in with a bunch of leprechauns.
That's
It's
true. We
yeah.
did.
What's so funny? I know a lot about the show Bonanza because my brother Neil, who is a TV aficionado, especially of the 50s, 60s, and early 70s, his go-to is Bonanza. He's watched them all.
Wow.
He's watched many of them several times. And as a result, because, he's my brother, I love my brother, I go hang with him, and I end up watching Bonanza too. The tone shift on that show from episode to episode is insane.
We have a theory about that for a long time they were just collecting unaired pilots and tailoring them to Bonanza because often a lot of the characters aren't even in it. They'll just be two brothers and a father.
Well, what's so funny though is like you'll watch an episode and it's really dark. Yeah. It's like, an old Confederate general who won't accept that the Civil War is over comes to town and he captures, little Joe and whips him and keeps him in a cave and is going to kill him. And the other family members get him out just in time and it's harrowing and they end up beating the guy to death who has tried to whip little Joe. And it ends and you're like, oh my God, that was rough. And then my brother Neil would say like, let's watch the next one. And I'm like, all right. And it's like little Joe and Haas, they buy a donkey. And they buy a donkey because they think the donkey has, can race and can be in a race. And their dad's like, you bought a donkey. And there's comics things like,
Oh, the music throughout one of those comical episodes.
and then they'll cut to the donkey and womp, 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 womp. And it's all very silly. And you're like, oh my God, okay. And then you watch the next one. Adam's been kidnapped. They're cutting him with knives and sending pieces of him to the Bonanza family and telling them, you're not going to see him again. And it's just like, in the end, they find the guy who's cutting off pieces of Adam and they beat him to death. And then the next episode, then the next
I got some
episode's like,
chickens, Paul.
Yeah, what have you two idiots done now? Paul, we bought an ostrich that can read minds. Cuckoo! Cuckoo, cuckoo, cuckoo! I got to be on this podcast.
Oh, you
Yes,
should.
you
would love
absolutely
it.
must.
I definitely want to be on it.
Please.
It's I'm obsessed with Bonanza.
Strangely enough, Robert Altman directed 8 or 9 episodes of Bonanza, and so Patton Oswalt has been our guest for every one of those.
His
comes on.
choice. That
Yes,
was his choice.
He said, "I'd
Yeah.
like to come on and discuss every Robert Altman directed episode of
You should
Bonanza."
tell them about our quest to buy a Bonanza steakhouse.
Oh yeah. Well, so there are no Bonanza or Ponderosa steakhouses
Anymore?
No, but there are none west of like Missouri or something like that. And there's only a few in the Northeast.
But there's a bunch internationally, strangely.
Oh,
like
yeah.
in Dubai or
And
something.
what's really weird
There's
is
one in Dubai.
what's really weird is there are 4 on Staten Island, and it's each corner of an intersection.
They had a hard time in COVID, to be fair, because it's mostly salad bar, and
That's
nobody
true.
was in the mood for that.
Yeah.
Sneeze guard didn't
And
seem
old
like
people,
enough.
and mostly old
right,
people.
old people.
Yeah.
But so we decided we were going to try to open one, and we called the guy at Fat Brands, which is like the fast food consortium that owns both of those brands. And we were completely rejected. Well, we called him in character.
We did call him a character, and we had
Oh, well, okay.
Oh.
I sense a problem here. You called in, so do the phone call.
Just like, hello, is this fellow from Fat Brands?
Yes.
My name's Dalton Wilcox.
Who?
But Dalton Wilcox. I'm the poet laureate of the West, and I'm a true American cowboy of
Okay,
the West.
I don't want to do this, sir.
Well, hang on just a second before you hang up. I just want to talk to you about opening the Ponderosa Bonanza Steakhouse. We got an abandoned Pier 1 import,
No, sir.
and we're in there anyway most
Sir.
days.
Sir. No, please, sir.
Now we'd keep the bead curtains. I love that. I love that.
He didn't fall for it for 1 second.
No,
it is
not
true.
even
Like
a
right from the very beginning of the call, he was like, well, you're clearly media, and let me refer you to our media person.
He said, "You're clearly doing an improv-based character. My guess is you've had Second City, but I'm going to say UCB training. This is probably for an audio medium, probably a podcast. You also probably work as an actor on the side. Yeah, I'm not interested."
We also, I think we stupidly asked him if he would consent to being recorded or something like that.
yeah.
So right
He
from
was
that
not
point, he
into
was
that.
like, no.
But we did use the transcript and had a voice reenactor replay it on the podcast. So you can listen on the Patreon, I believe, right?
Yes, but that implies that we did record him even after he said no.
Oh, no, we did.
Which
We
I
just did it
absolutely
by
did
memory.
not do.
We did
yeah,
it by
we typed
memory.
up the transcript
Legally,
from memory.
we did it by memory.
Good save, says the lawyer. You have a dream to open up a business called Not a Problem.
I'm so glad you mentioned this.
And
Thank you.
and it's KNOT, a problem,
Exactly.
not a problem. Tell us about this store.
One thing I really enjoy doing around the house is untangling things.
Mhm.
Headphones, marionette strings.
Which do you have more of? Headphones or marionettes?
It's mostly
And
marionette
you know what?
strings.
When you're working your marionette and you're using your headphones at the same time,
Oh, boy.
it's a fucking
Oh,
mess.
forget it.
And if the
worst.
marionette has headphones, don't
Yeah.
even get me started.
Yeah, sometimes members of my family will wash clothes and they won't realize that they've got multiple pairs of headphones and marionettes in their pockets. And so when that comes out of the dryer, that's my day.
To keep you on track, the business you want to open is called
Oh, I'm fully on track.
Not a Problem.
I'm entirely
No, you know
on
what I'm
track.
doing right now? I'm untangling this conversation.
I've not left the topic at all. So yes, I would like to open a store where people bring in their difficult to untangle things, and I'll just sit there and I'll untangle it for them while they wait. I'll do it while you wait. And it's a pay what you think is right kind of situation.
What do we bring in this year? Nothing. Wow. I mean, okay, well, good for you.
I think my busy season will be Christmas time. People bring out the lights, the
Oh, right.
Christmas tree lights.
Yeah.
That's going to be a huge. busy time
Is this
for me.
something you really are good at?
I think I am good at it. Yes, I am. I'm good at detangling things.
Like jewelry? Jewelry's a tough one.
I'm not sure about jewelry.
Oh, okay.
I have tried that, and the result is broken jewelry.
Oh.
But
Wait.
maybe you would just make
My
that
wife
clear.
sometimes has like tangled jewelry, and I say I'll do it, and I take it to the garage, and I use a wire cutter to cut it all apart,
Oh.
and then I crudely tape it back together. And when she's the least bit upset, I say, "You asked for my help, and I did it. This is the fucking thanks I get." And then I drink.
Yeah, yeah.
Kind of works.
As long as so I might put up an advisory, like a sign that says, well, "I'm happy to try your jewelry. The result will be broken jewelry,
and I'll be drunk. Something like that. And angry at you.
Does your mind ever quiet down? I'm trying to think of Andy Daly at night trying to go to sleep. Are there characters bouncing around in your head? Are you able to quiet that mind of yours?
Yeah, I do get to sleep eventually, most nights.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I listen to something boring, like this podcast.
Okay, that's just
burn.
that's a sick burn.
Podcast.
That's a terrible thing to say.
No, I'm only teasing.
No, that came from the heart.
The BBC World News is what I listen to get to sleep. I have to listen to that. And then I absorb bad news from around the
that
world.
doesn't give you bad dreams or
It
bad
does
vibes?
sometimes.
But they say it in that
Yeah.
clipped British way that's very calming.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, a heat dome across the globe, destroying all humankind. And you're like,
Thousands
oh,
were killed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Total Armageddon. Good night.
Good noise.
And they leave you with a light story, usually.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, about a chimney sweep that got rescued. It's been stuck there for 11
Four
years.
gobstoppers found at the tube.
Yeah.
The bones of a chimney sweep were found.
Another unfortunate accident at the Willy Wonka factory.
Augustus Gloop tells his story exclusively.
Has anyone ever done a thing where OSHA visits the Willy Wonka factory? I always felt like that would be it just seems to me like that. I mean, I don't know if someone's done that sketch, but just OSHA walking around going, this chocolate river?
I know, that alone.
There's no fencing.
Yeah.
There's no barricade.
It's just the sanity. I mean the, what do you call it? Not
Sanitariness.
This is sanitary.
Well, the idea that like the chocolate river is perfectly sanitary unless someone falls into it. That's not, that can't be.
No.
It's an open air chocolate river.
Right. And also, when a kid falls in it, they panic and wet themselves.
Right.
That goes into the chocolate. Well, they do.
And who knows what the Oompa Loompa are doing in that thing after hours?
Oh, yeah. Good point.
What?
Well,
no,
they live there on
sully
premises.
the name of the Oompa Loompa.
Well, there's a lot of them. They clearly, you know.
What, like orgies?
Well, I'm just saying it's possible. You know, there's a lot of sugar around,
you know
which
what?
is...
Don't be a greedy little boy and go to the chocolate fountain. It would have been fine if he wasn't such
But here's the thing. Look at...
glutton.
I'm talking about the Gene Wilder movie. I haven't seen the Johnny Depp one, but go look at... And I know there's another one, too.
Timothy Chalamet.
Timothy Chalamet.
I just... My reference is the Gene Wilder. And just look, bridges with... There's all kinds of hazards left and right. You go into rooms, there's gobstoppers on tables, and kids are swallowing things.
Yeah.
It's a lawsuit left and right.
It's experimental candy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. No,
Well, they also atomize people and, send
that
them-
happens, though.
Okay.
We do that here.
Okay.
We've had several kids atomized here and, disappear. It
Walk
just
out with a
happens.
child in your pocket.
What?
Little TV Tom.
Mike TV.
Mike TV.
Christopher Hewitt.
He gets really small.
TV Tom.
He gets really
TV Tom.
I read an early draft of the book.
I remember you told me at the time, I don't know if this is still the case, but at the time you were living in a firehouse in Manhattan.
I still live in a firehouse.
Oh my God,
yes.
you live in a firehouse.
Yeah.
You're like Bruce Wayne.
Or like
And-
the Ghostbusters.
Yes.
Okay, a
It's
more
not far from the
contemporary reference.
Ghostbuster
Yes,
firehouse.
It's a
actually.
Ghostbuster. Yeah, you lived in a firehouse, and I thought, I want to go hang with Anderson at his firehouse. I want to go down the whole, I want the whole thing. And nothing happened. None of it happened.
Well, because I'm too shy to reach out to other people. Like I literally it's actually kind of it's been an issue for me. And like I can't ask people for help for something.
I have a bit of that too.
why.
I don't like to ask a favor.
Yes, I do not. I will do. I'm happy to do a favor for somebody. I do not want to ask somebody for assistance. I couldn't even ask to apply for a TV job. I was a fact checker at a thing called Channel One, which was a show seen in high schools. And I realized I thought, okay, being on air would be better. And I want to be a foreign correspondent. And they didn't really have reporters. It was sort of like the idea initially was like a Today Show for classrooms. It was in half the high schools and middle schools in America in the early 90s. And I was the fact checker. And after 6 months, I was like, you know what? I want to be on air. I couldn't get entry-level jobs at any of the networks or anything. And I realized if I say to them I want to be on air, they're going to say no because I'm, in their mind, the fact checker. And I also, slightly stumble, and I just didn't think I was meant to be on TV. And so I quit my job. Rather than asking them or even letting them know, I have this idea of I'd like to be on camera. I quit my job. I asked the director of the show to make a fake press pass for me. I borrowed a camera that they weren't using, like a small VHS it was a smaller camera. And I told them, I'm leaving. I'm going to go to wars for the next few months. I'm going to shoot stories. And if you want to see them, you can take a look at them. And if you like them, you could maybe put them on air. It was a very passive aggressive way of getting
right. But what you essentially did is you went to war zones on spec. You said, I'm going to go.
That is absolutely correct.
I'm going to go. Some people build a spec home or write a spec script. You went to war zones and reported on missiles falling all around you on spec.
On spec, yes. That was completely what I did.
Tell me more about this forged press pass. That is really pushing it, Anderson.
I know.
I mean, it's
actually on my wall over here.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, I was working for this. Well, actually, I wasn't. I was doing a spec, but it was a thing. It said Channel 1 on it, and it had my photo, and it was laminated.
It sounds like something
real.
When I was a kid, I used to love to pretend to be a reporter if there was a home movie camera going, and I literally would put a card in an old hat that I found, my grandfather's hat, that would say press, and I would jam it in the hat band and go like, all right, I'm here and I'm from the press. This sounds like the same bullshit, only you're Anderson Cooper, and you were pulling it to go to a war zone.
Sorry.
Oh, I love this. You actually producing, I want to describe now to the audience, you just produced all of your forged documents.
This is the forged one.
Oh my God, it looks legit though.
Yeah. That's fantastic.
See, once I had that, then I got this, which is a UN press pass. And once you have a UN press pass, you're golden.
That's fantastic. And it looks to me very easy to duplicate, and that's what I'm going to do.
Hi, my name is Amy Poehler, and I feel nostalgic about being Conan O'Brien's friend.
And that is appropriate because
I feel so nostalgic today.
I feel so lucky because a lot of our fans know this, but for the uninitiated, when I was doing my late night show in 93, a couple of years into it, we started saying, oh, we need cast members to help us out on the fly. And UCB was just getting off the ground.
Yeah.
And so suddenly, it wasn't just that I was getting really good people. I was getting the best sketch performers coming in, and you would play, you could play anything, but you would play Andy's little sister, and we'd give you, I think, a script that was like, that's a solid B. And you would take it to an A+++++++. And it was insanity, and I never took that for granted. I mean, now I look back on it, and I think, I got to have Amy Poehler do bits on my show.
Yeah. You paid my rent.
Yeah.
I mean, are you kidding? I would have done it. I mean, it's funny that you say it that way because isn't it funny when you look back at, I mean, what must be 30 years now?
30 some odd years.
Yeah, because I moved to New York when I was in 96. Is I never remember a time when you were like a fledgling new show. I mean, you were just always like the hit show.
That's so funny.
I know. I don't remember it being like, we have to practice and get things ready because I knew Andy Richter from Chicago. But in my mind, I don't have a memory of it ever not being a successful show.
Well, it's interesting because young people just sort of made it their show, and we were doing all this weird stuff, and they were saying, yeah, this is what we like. We like the masturbating bear. We like Pimpbot. We like Andy's little sister. We like all this weird stuff. And, but I was constantly taking shit from people that were used to Letterman who were maybe 20 years older than me. And so there was a solid 3 years of, you might get canceled.
Yeah.
Can you try, can you get rid of that weird stuff you're doing? And I'd tell them I will, and then I just wouldn't. And it was just madness.
And honestly, let's play F, Marry, Kill with Masturbating Bear, Pimpbot, and Andy's little sister.
Yeah.
See how we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's fuck them all.
Yeah. That's right. That's right.
That diaper comes off pretty easy. He's ready to go.
I don't think Masturbating Bear's interested. He's got something going on.
That's not how he gets off.
We also have a few things in common, which is you're from Burlington, Mass. And I'm from Brookline, Mass. And
fancy. Congratulations.
That's right. My butlers had a butler.
Did your house have books in it? Well,
yes, we had some books. And my butterfly collection. I think you told me once, I could be wrong, that you worked at the Chestnut Hill Mall.
Yeah, I worked at a bunch of different places in high school. I always had a summer job, but I worked at the Chestnut Hill Mall at a restaurant called Paparazzi,
Yeah.
which was, a very it was probably one of the fancier restaurants I had worked at up until that point with breadsticks.
Yes.
Ooh.
And, I learned words like cavatappi.
I still don't know what that
What
means.
is that?
Yeah.
That's a type of pasta. Or, I learned mise en place.
Didn't you work at the Pewter or something?
There used to be a pewter pot in my
pewter
town,
pot.
but I worked at Chadwick's, which was an ice cream place on the border of Lexington and Waltham, and very famously an ice cream, old fashioned ice cream place. You bang a drum when it's someone's birthday, and you wear old timey outfits.
Yes, yes.
And Rachel Dratch worked at Chadwick's a few years ahead of me. We never met because then the simulation wouldn't
That's
have
crazy.
worked out.
And what's
Yeah.
interesting is that your Boston accent went away. I used to think I never had a Boston accent, and then someone recently found a clip of me interviewing my brothers and sisters from 1971, and I'm going yeah, so and I'm like, who's that guy?
Yeah.
And I never consciously tried to get rid of it, but you tried.
I did, and I still think you do have one.
You think
and
I do have one?
still think I have one. I mean, it's super slight, but don't you feel like you can pinpoint people from Boston?
Yes, definitely.
Even just saying Boston, the way
Yeah.
we say Boston. But every once in a while I hear it, and every once in a while I hear it for me, it's usually when I'm angry. That's when it comes out.
Yeah.
Which makes sense.
I also love it when I go to Boston. I don't know if this
It's
happens
the worst
to you.
accent ever.
Bostonians, it is. Well,
It's terrible.
I'm going to say Rhode Island. Cranston, Rhode Island.
Yeah, Rhode Island
Cranston,
is
Rhode
bad.
Island might win.
Can you do the difference? What's the difference between those two?
I can't. I'm terrible at it. This made Rachel Dratch crazy because she did this. She wrote a sketch for Saturday Night Live, which is all these Boston people, and I was hosting that week, and I was just having trouble getting the Boston accent because I had been away for years, and Rachel was losing her mind.
That does not sound like Rachel Dratch.
No, she was getting really frustrated. Like, no, it's like on the corner, and I'd be like, yeah, on the corner. And she was really. I was making her as upset.
I blame Brookline for this
Yeah.
because I mean there's a way to dig into the accent that once you get in there, it's almost like you could never get out.
Right.
It's like a comfy chair to get in there.
It's not just the accent. There's an attitude too. I don't know if you have this, but if I'm in Boston and I go there a lot to see my family, there's a Conan, come here.
Yes.
There's a you kind of work for me. I know you're from Boston, so get over here. So I'm walking the other way. Hey, Conan, come here. Fuck, it's Conan. Come here. Climb over this thing. And you're like, this is incredible.
Yeah.
There's a sense that I'm from Boston, you're from Boston. You're not some fucking big deal. Get over here. And I kind of like it. And then there are times where I'm like, oh, come on.
100%. The best and worst thing about Boston is there's a feeling of you're not better than me.
Right.
We're all the same. We're all in this together. Boston strong. Hi, how are you?
Boston
Good for
strong.
you.
Yeah.
But it's you're doing well, Amy, huh? It's aggressive love.
Yeah.
And it's very nice to feel. And also it's sometimes scary.
Well, I think I've mentioned this before, but I was in Boston and I was staying in a hotel and I was staying, at a bar. And I go into the men's room, and this woman, who I want to say was 55, followed me into the men's room while I'm at the urinal. And she was like, hey, gone. And I was like, yeah, I'm at the urinal. And she's like, oh, Mr. Hollywood. I'm like, no, I think this is illegal.
Yeah, it's illegal. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you're supposed to be in here.
No, yeah, it's very I mean, all my relatives still live in Boston. I love going back there. It is this thing where Boston really doesn't want you to forget.
No.
And also Boston is the thing where they talk about neighboring towns as if anyone would know what they're talking about.
Right.
Boston feels like the center of their own world.
Right.
So they'll throw out towns and stuff happening to people that are from Michigan. And it's like, no one knows what you're talking about.
Yes.
But Boston is they are their own center.
Also, I remember growing up, and first of all, you'd listen to school cancellations and you'd wait for your town to come up. But the second thing is there were all these ads for the Light and Leisure building.
Yeah.
And I think it was in Burlington. And they were like, it's in Burlington, the Lights and Leisure business. The Light and Leisure, I don't know exactly what they were selling. I think it was lights and leisure clothing, which doesn't make any sense. But it was like Light and Leisure, Burlington, get off the whatever. And I just, I'm like, so that's drilled into my head.
There's something about the the vibe there that this is something I really like about it. And New York is very similar too, which is there's a directness to how people talk to each other and what they expect of each other. So they're kind of like kind but not nice.
Yes.
And California is nice but not always kind. So
Yes.
it's confusing here because people are friendly but they're not really nice. But they're like, I gotta go. I can't help you. You gotta keep walking. Like everyone's telling you to hurry up, but they're very kind. They'll help you.
Right.
It's weird. It's different here.
There's a
California.
kindness in there, but it's got this crusty shell. Whereas here, everything has this kind of smooth shell,
And then you say, "Oh, my, can you help me change my tire?" And they're like, "We can't." I'm so sorry.
But I want that for you.
I want that.
Yeah, I want that for you. If you died, it would mean nothing to me. One of the things I always loved about you, and I don't know if this comes from, I read somewhere, maybe it comes from your dad, but you were fearless physically, comedically, and you are you would, if the joke called for you as Andy's little sister to go charging down the aisle and leap and hit him so that he falls over.
All right, you know what? It's Judgment Day, bitch.
What? Stacey, don't do this. Stacey, no! Stacey! I love you! Stacey, no!
I look at that footage now. It's online.
It's a good jump.
You leap like a leopard. You hit Andy. He goes over. It's one of the biggest laughs I've heard in studio. Because the running joke was you have a crush on me, and I'm always trying to politely explain that I'm, and then you think Andy's whatever getting in the way, and you attack, and you would give these great speeches, but you
written by the great Brian Stack.
By the great Brian Stack, and you would leap, and I remember you. I hope it's still not the case, but there used to be this kind of long ago.
I don't know what you're going to say.
I know. Me neither. I'm excited.
There used to be serfs
knife
in
coming?
the medieval period.
Oh, we're going far that part.
Yeah.
Okay,
No,
here we
no.
go.
In a sense that women don't. You got to be ladylike. Do you know what I mean? That if a guy's, I remembered my mom being a little bit that way, which is if I'm being completely inappropriate, it was funny. If one of my sisters was doing it, it was like, now hold on, that's not really, and it was a thing. She came from a very traditional Irish Catholic background, and you've got to be a lady, and so.
Yeah, well, you bring up my dad, but I do think it's true. Like your family of origin just helps you kind of decide the boundaries of your life, right? Like what you're allowed to do. And I had a kind of like a paper moon relationship with my dad, where he was very like on the move and took me with him kind of vibe. So he definitely instilled a lot of confidence and almost like a hustle that didn't feel very gendered at the time. It wasn't like I was supposed to be this, or, he kind of, both my parents were very funny, and there was a lot of encouragement to speak my mind, to kind of be a little bit of a challenger.
Good.
Which I didn't think was unusual until I did learn other people's systems. Like every family is a country with its own set of rules, and you don't know that that's true until you leave your country and you're like, oh, your family, your dad is the one that, everybody ignores, or you're the older brother is, right? The older brother's moods dictate the house, dictate the mood of the house, or, oh, in your family, you have to be polite and never tell the truth, whatever is everyone's version of their thing. And I came from a family, I have to say, that really encouraged joking and teasing, which is a very Boston thing.
Yes.
And it wasn't until I left that family and went to college that I realized that's not everybody's way of life.
Well, I remember my shock being coming out to Los Angeles and hanging out with, meeting Lisa Kudrow and hanging out and going over to her house, and her family would talk. They lived in Tarzana. Her dad's a doctor. They would talk very openly about sex, and it would freak me out. It still does. Like, sex has never been discussed or acknowledged in my home. with my parents. It was never, ever. And if something remotely sexy came on TV, it was, like we could all see our breath.
You are an actual stork baby.
Yeah. And then we'd just all get out of the room as fast as we could. And so, and to this day, I mean, nothing, people don't talk about that stuff.
Or have you ever seen families, I'm thinking of a specific family, when it would be their birthday, they would stand up and they'd give the most heartfelt toast, like, you are my sister. You're the person who, and it's so heartfelt. And you're like, this happens once and it happens at somebody's funeral.
Maybe.
When everybody's left.
Yeah.
Like, this is so intense to, like, the eye contact and real, like, teasing for me is a love language. Like, the more I like you, the more I'll tease. And manners are for people that I don't know or don't even really like, hi, how are you? But the tease, to me, it shows that there's a familiar way, and it's just the ultimate sign of love. But that's not the case with a lot.
No.
I've learned the hard way.
Yeah, I remember dating someone once a long time ago and meeting her parents for the first time, and I said something, like some kind of teasing mock put down of her, like, yeah, well, keep working on that. And her mother went, we don't do that in this house.
Oh.
We don't put people down. And I remember thinking, I need to go.
Yeah.
I need to leave right now because that's not going to fly.
But the Irish in me loves laughing and crying right next to each other. That's my favorite thing, is being sad and then someone saying something truly ridiculous or out of pocket in the moment that makes everybody laugh. That's, I think, very Irish, just getting as low as you can and going to the lowest basement and then finding the joke there and, like, shooting it up so that everybody can drink more.
Yeah. It's like everything we learned was...
So there's a reason to toast.
That was just implied.
Yeah.
Someone told me, and I just want to, because my wife has a fascination with the show Below Deck.
Oh, 100%.
And I watch Below Deck and I don't get it. And my wife is very smart and she has excellent taste. But when she's watching Below Deck, I'm like, I don't understand. Not that much is happening.
I love that she loves Below Deck. That's a sign of a smart lady.
Yeah.
I do not watch a lot of reality TV. I don't like people getting embarrassed. And people get embarrassed on every reality show. So, but I don't like fake drama. But what I like about Below Deck, and I wonder if your wife feels the same, is when they clean the boat. They have to.
Sure, that's it.
They have to turn over the boat. They have to get it clean. And every time it's like, are they going to make it? We don't so there's some weird thing where your brain, it's almost like, it's like watching a set be reset. You're watching it get reset. And I like clear delineations of power. Who is in charge? So there is a captain. Like, whether or not you like the captain, that's your problem. But the chain of command is very clear.
Yes.
And there's the head, there's the head of I should know all these names having watched it. But
so many iterations of it now.
Exactly. And so people have to report to each other, and that kind of status stuff really makes me laugh.
But you're right.
It's the cleaning of the boat.
There is something about, there'll be like young, good-looking couples that hook up on the boat, and I find that isn't as exciting to me as I get into. The chef has to make a meal, and it's always these incredibly entitled rich people.
Incredible.
Do you know what I mean? And they're always there, and they're like, this is for my wife's anniversary. And then they'll say things like, maybe it's fake, but they'll say at 11 o'clock in the morning, we want tonight's theme to be, and then they announce some insane theme.
Yeah.
They're on a boat in the middle of the Aegean, sea, and they're suddenly scrambling around trying to find, okay, the theme is volcanoes. They're building little volcanoes. People are dressing up and then the chef has to make the food for everybody. It's always going wrong. And then it comes together. Yeah. And it's very satisfying.
And then what do you have to do at the end? You got to clean the boat. You got to turn it over. You got to get the sheets done. You got to spray the deck and the aft. You can't you got to clean it.
You might be onto something, and maybe, Adam, I'm just going to throw this out there, we should include a segment where we're like hosing this table down.
Oh my God, by the way, I would watch the shit out of that. If you ASMR'd this table and you you put soap on it and then you washed it.
Wiped it down
and then spilled
Eduardo's
marbles on it.
Yeah.
And then the sound of the marbles, and you had to pick the marbles up.
And Eduardo designed this, so he's freaking out that we're getting soapy water.
We're happy to clean this table every
Right?
post session.
But like, we could make that a new thing on the show.
Yeah, and
And
if these mics could be made out of kinetic sand, I would appreciate that too. Just so I could play around with that.
all these cool, tactile, that's incredible.
Because
Yeah,
it's so good for podcasts.
people love it.
But I don't really watch any other. I don't like people being embarrassed or stressed on TV. It gets me very stressed.
I hate pranks.
I hate pranks.
And I always, my whole life, if someone wanted to do a prank on someone, my mind would always go, what if someone gets hurt?
Yeah.
I don't know why. It could even be just the simplest prank. And I think, I don't know, someone could get hurt and end up paralyzed.
Oh.
And people would be like, what are you talking about? We're just giving them a birthday cake, but it's not their birthday. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. Someone could end up paralyzed. I don't know why I always went to that.
Yeah, pranks feel very Gen X. Like we grew up with a lot of pranks, like Candid Camera, and then later on, Knoxville and
Ashton Kutcher,
Jackass. And Jackass and Punk'd. And so we had a lot of pranks in our life, and maybe we just got pranked out. But I don't like pranks. And if someone did a prank to me, I would feel like they hate me.
Yes.
Like I would feel super sad.
Yeah.
If like I've never had a surprise birthday thrown for me. The one time I think it was going to happen, I found out, and I kind of put a kibosh on it.
Yeah.
Because to me, a surprise party is an evil act of treachery.
Betrayal.
Yeah, betrayal. Yeah, it's a prank.
Anyway, you're launching this weekly video podcast, Good Hang,
Yes.
with Amy Poehler. It's going to come out this March. I will be listening to this podcast. I'd be thrilled to do it if you ever
Oh my God.
want me on.
Please,
I would,
thank you for saying
no,
that.
no,
I would
seriously,
love to have you
I would
on.
love to do it.
Thanks, Conan.
I love hanging with you, and you're one of my favorite people of all time, and I know you're going to kill this. So, and thank you. It's a gift that all those years ago you came into my life and were so funny and elevated everything on our show. Not everything, but a lot of things. Why did I have to correct that?
No,
but any
mean
sketches
it,
you were in,
Conan.
and it was just a magical time, and I do feel nostalgic too.
I do too. I feel,
yeah.
and I have to say, like the beginnings of things are the most tender time, where everybody's the most tender.
Yeah.
And you were so kind to not only me, but UCB and everybody during that time. You gave a lot of us our start. So thank you very much. I'm glad I get to say that to you.
Like a little bit of a cut.
Yes. And you did make me sign something that I regret. I really regret.
You're like Simon Cowell.
Yeah, I am.
Conan owns half of my house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I treated
Yeah.
I treated them all like they were a boy band in South Korea.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, well, this is awful. You know, it's interesting because you were talking to me about how you just always thought our show was there to stay and it was fine.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't know because this interesting thing has happened with Parks and Recreation where it is now just one of those shows that's chapter and verse, and comedy people know it. And not just comedy people, but it's like it plays a lot. People really know it. It's esteemed. And they don't know that it was a running gun battle to keep that thing on the air.
Big time. Yeah, every year we thought we were gone. For maybe the first 4 or 5 out of the 7 seasons we were on, because NBC was just, we were joking that our show was on the table, hooked up to machines, and then a new show would come wheeling in next to us, and they'd just be like, clear! And they would just be trying to save that show over and over again, and then they'd call time of death, and they'd put this sheet over the show, and they'd bring the show out. And
Well,
we were like,
suddenly Susan didn't make it.
I mean,
Parks and Rec's still here.
Totally. We had about 5 upfronts where it was like, this is the next new big show. And we would watch it come in so hot with tons of marketing, and then it would die. And we would just be like, beep, beep, beep. And so we hung in there and long enough until finally, at like season 5, like your show, like critically, we were very loved, but we were always worried we were going to get canceled. And although we would all give anything to have those numbers now, whatever we had.
Yes.
It was like, we have a 3.8 or whatever. And I was like, this is a disaster,
Right.
Then streaming started to happen, and it all started to like dovetail at the same time.
I am almost every day I thank the streaming gods and the internet, because I never thought the stuff that we were making, I always thought we did this really weird thing tonight. It'll never be seen again because it's just tonight and maybe it'll be rerun once in the summer, but then that's it. It's gone. And I was at the SNL thing, and when you buy a Samsung television, there's a Conan O'Brien channel.
Yeah,
and
it won't go off my TV.
Well, here's the thing.
I'm trying to get it off.
Bill Murray came up to me and he was like, yeah, Conan, there's this thing on my TV. It's just you. And it's you. And I went, and he went, and I can't get it off. I was like, well, I can't help you. And he went, yeah, some of it's really good, But it was just so weird that stuff that I thought would never be seen.
Yeah.
There's moments on the internet. And the good work gets picked out. It rises to the top. There's plenty of stuff we all did that we're like, okay. But that tends to not get passed around as much.
Mm-hmm.
And it creates this illusion that everything we did was super funny.
That's
which in my case was like, no, that's a complete illusion. You're just not seeing the other ones because they don't get clicks.
That's for sure. Yeah, that's sketch in a nutshell too. So much of it is just like, what's your batting average? Like you're going to get 1 out of 3 good sketches if you're lucky. Parks was like that, the trajectory of that. And getting back to your show for a second, what was so exciting about being there at the beginning, not only was one of our own, like Andy was an improviser that we knew who suddenly
from Chicago,
from Chicago, who could buy an apartment and we could go over to it.
Yeah,
we were like, what?
I remember he had parties. He had an apartment that was like on 19th or 20th Street downtown, and it was kind of a loft. And he, I wasn't having parties. I was just, but I would go to Andy's parties, and it was everyone from UCB's, you and Matt Walsh and Besser and Ian, and it's just like this whole salon of super funny people. Plus, sometimes you go to an Andy party and there'd be like a guy in a fez in the corner with an eye patch. There were like people with parrots on their shoulders.
Yes, it was just right. New York, like, early 90s, like David Rakoff and Amy Sedaris and, all these like people that were kind of coming through and just starting out as well in different ways. It felt very chic. And then also, truly, your show allowed me to pay my rent, get health insurance, tell my parents that I was going to be on TV. All the beginnings of that. It got me so many jobs. People saw, I think, my first movie, which was the world famous Deuce Bigelow. Very, very proud of my performance in that. But I remember, I think
killed it.
Killed it. But Rob Schneider, I think, saw me like on your show, and I think that stuff helped me when we were selling UCB the sketch show. It was just such a huge deal, and I can remember. Under 6, and remember that, like, if you had under 6 lines on Conan show, you got paid a certain amount of money. And then if you got over 6, you got paid like $100 more, because of SAG minimums and stuff. And it was a huge deal. We did a ton of staring contests. A ton of bits. I think my first thing was I was under me and John Benjamin were under giant foam rubber Conan and Andy outfits.
Yeah.
And we had to run around a track all day or something.
It makes no sense.
No sense. And I was like, I made it.
Really
I did it.
I was just at this SNL, and I saw Tina, and she's with her husband, Jeff Richman. And I'm sorry, Jeff, but I immediately go to when we used Jeff Richman, who's, scores all this stuff. He's very brilliant. He's incredibly successful. We used him and he played Cupid. So he was in a diaper, hanging on a rope with a bow and arrow, and like some glitter in his hair and no shirt. And he's kind of just spinning at rehearsal awkwardly. And I didn't know who Jeff was. And then it's over and I think I'm doing something, and Tina had passed a monitor and she went, "That's my husband, you fucker." What have you done to him?
Yeah, I learned so much.
I don't care what he does. He'll get an Oscar for scoring something, and I'll still think, you a Cupid.
I learned so much on that show. I learned how to, get ready for a bit, how to not peak too early, how to figure out what the audience, just basically how to play the rhythm of the audience, like a camera blocking, all that stuff I knew nothing about.
It's odd to think about it now, but you and Tina, you're this wave of women that came along, and I think it's easy for people to take it for granted now, but you and Rachel and a bunch of other women.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, there were women before you, and I know you have your idols are like Gilda Radner, Lucille Ball, Catherine O'Hara, who I sat next to at the 50th anniversary, and I couldn't.
Cool.
I mean, I see her from time to time, and I love Catherine O'Hara, and sometimes she's very earnest. So when the show was about to start, and Paul Simon came up, and I get the microphone, and Sabrina Carpenter came up, and she's at her microphone, and they're both ready to go, and she went, "Oh, it's Paul Simon. This is going to be good." And I said, "Well, we'll see." And she looked at me and she was like, "What do you mean?" And I said, these things come and go. You never know with Paul. She's always great. Yeah. And she was like, "Fuck you, he's always great." And this is like I'm picking a fight with Catherine O'Hara before as they're calling out 3, 2, 1.
My fun name drop of that weekend, which was really fun, was everyone, there were so many people that people just shared dressing rooms. And so I was sharing my dressing room with Meryl Streep.
Oh, wow.
Oh, my God.
And I'm like, just like a fan, I took a picture of the door that said my name and Meryl Streep. And it was really cool. And she was, getting ready for her sketch and really rehearsing it. And I remember thinking, I never rehearsed as hard as Meryl Streep has. This one moment,
she's taking this
don't
very
overthink
seriously.
it. Don't overthink it.
It's vaudeville.
Be loud. That's
it's
what
vaudeville.
I wanted to say. Just be loud. Yes, and then in the seats, which was a night of all famous, alumni and people. Yep. I sat down and I turned to my left and it was Jack Nicholson.
Yes.
And I was like, of course, my old friend, my dear friend, Jack Nicholson.
I think when those things happen, I just go with it.
Yeah.
I just say, of course, Jack Nicholson's here.
Of course. I mean, you have to fake it.
Of course, my comedy heroes are here.
Yes.
Letterman sat like 3 rows down from me, and I went over and said hi and was struck by his beard. I mean, literally,
it's incredible.
It hit me. He turned, and I was slapped by his beard.
I feel like that's what success is being able to perform at an event in front of your comedy heroes and, give like a B- performance and not want to die. That's success.
Yes.
It is, because it's happened so many times in my life now where I've had to do the AFI tribute or something in front of Steve Martin, and I walk away and go, well, that was a B-. And I go,
you might be being a little hard on yourself.
Nope, I could think of hard B-.
Okay. I know the one you're talking about. Yeah. I don't.
You did call me up.
I don't.
You can't call me up.
I called you up and I said
gave me that grade.
I said B-. That was like a C+. So you met Tina at Improv Olympics in Chicago, 1993. What made you know that you two were going to be like sort of peanut butter and jelly?
Sharna Halpern, who was this woman running that theater at the time, said to both of us, "Oh, I know a woman that you would like." And she just put us on an improv team together. And I knew Tina was from Philly, and I knew she had written a really funny play about Catherine the Great and her intimate relationship with her horse. And I knew she was really smart and funny, but when we met, we just we don't actually, we were on the road doing a show, and we kind of talk about how we don't actually remember the exact moment we met, because we didn't know we'd be married for so long and so in love. But we just got put in an improv team, and we just instantly, and I think this is the case today, just worked together so well. Like we like to work the same way, which when you work with people, there's a language that you have and how you like to work, and you either kind of have it or you don't. And if you do have it, it's the best.
On Update, and anytime I've seen you two together, you always have A+ jokes. You have great jokes, great delivery. And some people think, what's the trick? It's like, yes, have good delivery is really important. And sometimes you need to have a saver, but have the stuff. And you two always have really good stuff.
Because I think I feel like I've given you credit for this. So tell me if you've said this.
Yes,
but
I did it.
You did. But we talk about this, and you saying this a lot, which is, as when you're doing comedy, you have to have good jokes all the time and new jokes all the time. And then you see musicians go up and sing their song, and you're like, man, if I could just go up and sing a hit over and over again.
I had this experience, which is, I was in, I want to say, Phoenix, Arizona, and I had to do something for an affiliate, so I'm there, and I go in, and of course, I don't have Phoenix, Arizona affiliate material in my back pocket. I have to bother my writers. I have to think myself what it's stuff I can say, what's going on, find out what the local references are, and construct the whole thing from scratch. And I get to, before we get started, I go down to the lobby and I see Sting is there and he's just got a guitar on his back in a leather case.
Yeah.
And I went, oh, hey, how's it going? He's like, oh, it's going all right. And I said, what are you doing? He said, I'm doing a benefit. And I said, I'm doing a benefit too. I'm doing something and I've been working. I said, what are you going to do? And he said, I'm going to play Roxanne.
Oh.
And I'm going to play every step. And he's not even thinking about it.
No.
He's not even thinking about it. And everyone's delighted.
Yes, that's what they want.
Yeah, no one's, I was at an event with you. I remember this really well. It was an event with you at the Museum of Natural History. And I don't know if I was performing or what, but then the music came out and it was John Bon Jovi. And he did Cowboy on a Steel Horse.
Incredible.
You jumped up, you lost your mind, and you were screaming all of the
Bon Jovi.
lyrics, which was great. And then I look over, and John Bon Jovi's wife is doing it.
What?
Yeah, she's there too, and she's like, "Yeah, I love this." And I'm thinking,
Well, that's just Stockholm syndrome.
That's a good marriage.
That is a good marriage. Their marriage has lasted all these years. Dorothea, I know everything about her.
Yeah, she's very cool.
Yes, Dorothea. Yes, well aware of Dorothea. Looked her up all the time. John Bon Jovi.
She's very cool. High school sweetheart.
So cool. Yes,
I
high
think
school
she might need to
sweetheart.
worry. Are you coming after her?
I mean, Dorothea has seen probably a lot more threatening people throwing themselves at John than me.
Yeah.
But their marriage is strong. I believe it is.
Yeah.
And I love John Bon Jovi.
Oh,
I went to Bon Jovi when I was in high school. I even wrote a sketch about it at SNL where when he hosted, John Bon Jovi came out of the poster in my childhood
so
bedroom. And I dressed up like I looked when I was 13. And John Bon Jovi, the musician, went into his storage and wore the same outfit that was on the poster, still fit. So he keeps it really tight.
Like
And
how he
that's why
said
Dorothea is still interested.
I like how he went into his storage. No, he had it in his closet.
Yeah, he had his
wears
wearing
storage.
it that day.
Yeah, he has all of his poster clothes in his closet, right off his bedroom.
Well, I would say in response to you saying about good jokes, I think you and I could probably say that we both came up at a time when the writer was king and writers were really important at SNL and they were really important on your show. And not only do I, like some of them are here in the building and I work with some of them forever, but they were also writer performers and you had a bunch of them on the show and same at SNL. Like it just was, you just can't go in with flimsy material. You have to just keep trying jokes, which I'm sure you're getting ready to do for the Oscars and everything, like over and over again.
No, I haven't started yet.
Oh, good.
It's days away, and I just figured, this will
you
write
have
itself.
to wait and see, though.
Yeah, do it in the parking lot on the way in. But that's all Lorne. Lorne Michaels, and it's not everywhere. There used to be this era for a long time. Writers were kept like rats in this back room. And I had a really good first job in LA at not necessarily the news, but we weren't part of the production. We didn't really interact with the crew. We were in a room, Greg Daniels and I were in a room with Billy Kimball, and we just had desks that faced each other like accountants, and we just banged out sketches all day long, sight gags, whatever. And then at the end of the day, we'd submit them and go home. But that was, and I remember thinking, this is not the show business I wanted to be in. I want to be backstage. I want to see showgirls, people in horse costumes, people dressed, as a knight. I want all that craziness. And get to SNL, and Lorne, it didn't matter if you were like me, 23, 24 years old. He'd just say, all right, what have you got? What's your name? Conan. Okay, and let's hear your idea. And you tell the idea. Okay, go pitch it to Steve Martin. Me? Or go pitch it to comedy, pick any comedy icon. And I remember thinking, you're allowing me to go into a room alone with this person? I could have why do we, have you done a background check on me?
Yeah, finish that sentence.
I know, you would have a what?
A knife?
Well, I mean, if it was, I carried a knife back
You
then.
always bring, you always were flashing your knife.
It's a Brookline thing.
Spinning your knife. Yeah, Brookline knife.
You're a knife guy.
And I just, it was one of those ones that flips out and flips back, and I was always around, and I remembered a lot of people, Norm was like, can you not do that?
But it's Brookline, so it's a cheese knife. It's for cutting cheese.
For brie.
And having parties and stuff. Yeah.
Look at this. And then
and a
for
beautiful
you, and for you.
slice of a brie. Yeah.
You're doing this project now, Palm Royale, which I had the privilege, they let me see a sneak peek
Oh, really?
of 2 episodes, and I got to talk to Kristen Wiig yesterday for a long time about it, and it is amazing to me that your work has reached so many generations of people. I mean, just in this room, I'm 60, Matt, you're 50.
Yeah.
41.
41.
Yeah.
Let's just say 40, round it out.
Okay, but I'm 41,
But-
but okay. We'll say 40. Yeah.
But
round it
these
down.
two were apoplectic, nervous about we're going to come in and be in the same room as Carol Burnett.
Oh
and
my
I'm talking,
God.
yeah.
You know, our rap sign for this is I do an earlobe tug, like you used to signal to your mother to Eduardo, and that's how
He's
he
been
likes the
doing
rap
that
sign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
since the day we started this podcast 5 years ago. He's been doing it, and I think you should file suit. 'Cause-
Is it longer than the other? Mine is a millimeter longer.
You tugged it longer?
It was
Oh.
measured once.
Oh my God. Wow.
by some pervert in the park.
Yep.
Well, I've been going up to shorten it.
Okay.
Yeah. It's so. I remembered you coming on the show, and
For my it was for my grandmother.
for your grandmother, and you did it on the show. And I had one of those moments where I thought, this can't be happening. I can't be here with Carol Burnett while she's tugging on her earlobe. That's the same earlobe. And then you think, dude, relax. You've got to just be in the moment. But this is a bunch of generations of people who are just astounded to be in a room with you, and so grateful for all this amazing work you've done, but also talking to Kristen Wiig and your work has, and I don't think that used to be the case. I sometimes think that people used to do their work, and then because times were different, they wouldn't rerun shows or they wouldn't be seen again.
Right.
But your work has been seen, and now thanks to, just the internet and your legacy, everyone's very aware of this crazily rich fabric of work you have.
It's wonderful. I get fan mail now from 10-year-olds, teenagers, who were on like Shout and YouTube and MeTV and all of that. So people are seeing it, and it's just it's a thrill for me. I have recently just stopped doing it, but for about 25 years, I went around the country doing Q&A.
That's
live,
right.
And so just a few short years ago, and I would get audiences that ranged from 5 years old to 100. I mean, It was wild. So this one time, there was this little boy in the second row, and he raised his hand, and I called on him, and I said, "What's your name?" And he said, "Andrew." And I said, "How old are you, Andrew?" And he said, 9.
Oh.
And I said, "And you know who I am?"
Mm-hmm.
And without missing a beat, he said, "Surprisingly, yes."
I don't want to give anything away, no spoiler alerts, but in the first episode, we're meeting all the different, it's an incredible cast you have on Pomerelle.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And just looking at Allison Janney, and it's just
Laura Dern,
just this powerhouse cast. And I'm watching the show, and I'm thinking, well, I know Carol's in here somewhere, but I don't I don't see her yet. And why isn't she with the other ladies? And then there's this reveal of your character, and you are in a coma. I just thought, and but you're still doing a little something in your coma, and I was like, only Carol Burnett can lie in a coma and kill it. You're the only one that can do it. And then I was like, I want to see, because I know there's no keeping Carol Burnett on this hospital bed.
No.
She's coming out of this coma, and I'm down for it. I want to see all of this, but it must be. It feels to me like you haven't lost this sense of joy of working with people and
no,
just the doing of it.
And also, I'm just thrilled because now I've got some new best girlfriends: Kristen, Allison, Laura Dern.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so now we've bonded, and it keeps me young.
Yeah,
to be able to be. In fact, Allison and I, we wordle.
A lot of friendships end that way.
Tell me, if
you're not careful,
we wordle.
That may be the most intimate relationship
I think so.
of this modern era, is if you're wordling with someone.
And even connections. Do you know that one?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we Allison and I are into connections and wordling. We love it.
How are you with, you're out in the world and people approach you? Do you enjoy that? Or,
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always did too. And I have friends who are lovely people who are very well known, and they just, you'd never know it because they appear like extroverts. They're comedians. And then but they're very shy and they don't like it. And I just always felt very lucky that, and I sense that we're similar in some ways. I enjoy it. I'll talk to anybody.
As long as they're, right. As long as they're nice and, not too pushy or anything like that.
Right.
Yeah. And I enjoy it. I remember when my grandmother and I would go to Hollywood premieres on Hollywood Boulevard. I was maybe 9 or 10 years old. And we'd hang over the ropes to see all the movie stars coming in to go to the movie. And I remember one of my favorite movie stars was Linda Darnell. She was so beautiful, and she's from Texas. So and at one point she was walking by us to get into the theater, and my grandmother, who was not shy, said, Linda, this little girl just loves you. Give her your autograph. And she looked at me and she said, "What's your name, sweetheart?"
Oh, wow.
And I said, "Carol." She said, "Okay." And she took her time and gave it. So I never forgot that.
Nope.
So it meant the world to me. You never know how much you might be helping somebody by responding to them and being kind.
Yeah.
It's so important.
I've had the experience, and we've talked about it over the years. I mean, years ago of, being in a restaurant and someone waiting on me, and then later on they're a huge movie star and they remember it because they were waiting a table, and I was a couple of years into my show and they waited on me, and I always say, was I right? And they always tell me, "Nope, you were very nice and you did some bits with me, and then you kept doing bits and we had to leave." I saw your special of your show, Just for Us. Spectacular, absolutely amazing. And I know that it is Emmy nominated, and that's why I wanted to get you in here. But I think before we begin to move on to, I think, more important areas, we should discuss the fact that you and I have a lot in common, which I found out the first time you were on my show.
Yeah.
You leaned over and you was like, "I'm from Brookline, Massachusetts, and my dad's a doctor and knows your dad. And I'm from Brookline, Mass. My dad's a doctor." And we both fled that legitimate profession.
My father called me the next day and he went, "Oh, you were on Dr. O'Brien's son show the other day."
Yes.
What? And he went, "Yeah, Dr. O'Brien's son's also a comedian." I went, "This is a criminal misuse of the word also." I was like, "Yeah." And he went, "He's a good doctor." And I was like, "Well, his son's a good comic." And he went, "Yeah, I would expect that because his dad's such a good doctor." He was really...
I love this struggle over what our true identities are.
It was truly that, though. He was like, he still practices, really comes in. It's a different, my dad was as if it was, he's in a different grade at the school. He was like, it's a different department, but he's got a lot of respect. I'm like, my dad's a cardiologist. So,
yeah.
Your
and my dad is a microbiologist.
Yeah.
So the way I've heard it, my dad's first day kind of working at Brigham Women's Hospital in Boston was I think 1954.
Wow.
And my dad I just saw him 2 days ago.
I hear that was 2 days before they let the women in. It was just Brigham's. It was just Brigham's before
exactly,
that.
Yeah. It was the Peter Bent Brigham then they changed it to Brigham Women's.
Sorry.
And the whole world went to hell. But yeah, he worked there from I think he worked there for something like 65 years, something crazy. But it's cool because every now and then I bump into people who sort of, obviously they know my father and they respect my father, and they're not that interested in talking to me.
Yeah. I get the same thing where people will come up to me on the street with a crazed look in their eyes. And I'll be like, "Hi." And they're like, "Your father saved my life." And I'm like, "Oh, cool.
Check out my special."
Yeah. How'd you like the show? My father, by the way, if I ever referred to it growing up, I would say Brigham's, and my father would go, and women's. And I'm like, what's the difference? He went, well, Brigham's is an ice cream parlor, and Brigham's and Women's is the finest medical institution in the United States. Like, he was very serious about it. But my dad's been practicing there for a long time, not nearly as long as your father, but feels great affinity for it.
It's funny because all my memories are there's 6 kids, and my dad drove this really rusting out Chevrolet Impala 4-door with a squeaky steering wheel. And my childhood memories are my dad getting us in the car to run a quick errand, me and a couple of my brothers maybe. And what he would do is he'd go to the laundromat, he'd go to this place, and then he'd say, I'm just going to, he abbreviated minute. He'd say, I'm just going to take a min and pop into the Brigham. And so he would park the car and he would go into the Brigham Women's Hospital to like check on his bacteria, see what they were up to. And he would leave us in the car, and sometimes 45 minutes to an hour would go by, and then he'd come back and we'd be pissed, but you couldn't complain because he was doing, he was saving lives.
You said it was going to take a min, but it took an
It took an yeah. It took an
That was a full
But that was my memory and I was thinking, you wouldn't leave a dog in a car that long these days. But
I have this memory of my father shaving in the car on the way to work with an electric razor, but with both hands in the mirror while we're going down Route 9. And I was like, Dad, road. He'd be like, I have my knees, I got it. And but he's like shaving like this. Always so busy. Always. I think my dad has been on call for 32 years.
Yep.
I don't think my father has never. My father had a beeper until
my father had a beeper, and I remember as a kid, like in the 70s, my father had a beeper because he was on call, and I thought, technology will never advance any further than that box on his hip that makes a noise so he can go to a payphone.
We were growing up in synagogue, like on Saturday. I went to an Orthodox Jewish synagogue, and my father's beeper would go off in synagogue, and you could tell who was new based on who turned on and be like, what is that very electronic noise in the no electronic day time frame? So people would turn around, and my brothers would be like, he's a doctor. He's a doctor. Don't worry about it.
Chill. Just chill.
He's saving lives.
Rebbe, chill. Right. Chill, Rebbe.
Yitzchak, shut the fuck up.
I had an interesting experience because I'm obviously super Irish Catholic. I'm growing up in Brookline, Mass, and the different public schools, they had real identities. And the one I was supposed to go to, Heath School, was very kind of Irish Catholic. All the kids played hockey. It was kind of where I was supposed to go. I don't know why. I think my mother had gotten into a fight with someone at the PTA. Something happened. And it started with my brother Luke. He was sent to the Driscoll School. The Driscoll School in Brookline was surrounded by literally on 4 sides, there are like 4 temples. Mm-hmm. And so it was predominantly Jewish. And I was the kind of, oh, look, there's this orange-haired kid named O'Brien.
Yeah.
And isn't this funny? He's Catholic. So I was invited to, I think I went to definitely many, many, many more bar mitzvahs than any other confirmation or anything like that. And the parents all thought it was hilarious that I was there. And they would like pinch my cheeks and go, look at this, he's here. This is crazy. Look at his hair. And I don't know. The whole thing was, I remember feeling very exotic in a town where there are plenty of Irish Catholic kids, but all my friends were Jewish kids.
It was so funny because you went to BHS, yeah?
Yep.
So Brookline High School was like, it was 2 minutes and a whole world away from me because I was raised Orthodox. And so I remember watching the show when I was like 9, 10 years old, being like, he went to BHS? And I was so jealous of the kids who went to BHS because in my mind, not only did they not have to pray 3 times a day, they also let you host a talk show on national television. Like that was my conception of everyone who went to BHS. I'm like, eventually they get to either general manage the Red Sox or have their own television show.
Pretty much the entire class.
Yeah. It's like, wait, does everyone take a turn? Because there were like hundreds of kids in that school,
No, we all got, it was guaranteed if you went to Brookline High. But that was a great lucky thing for me because I think very early on got very comfortable around Jewish kids and really kind of
Which helped with like Jeff Ross and stuff like that.
exactly, because who knew they run show business with an iron hand.
I've got to make a phone call real quick, but
Our producer, yes, it did. No, but it was a nice accident for me that I went to Driscoll School, I think, and then just I became sort of more involved in going to bar mitzvahs, things like that, because I remember thinking, and this may sound strange to you, but it all felt so much more relaxed than Catholicism. It felt a little more, I don't know what, and you may not feel that way, but it felt
I
more,
definitely don't. But
okay, all right.
But but like I totally. It's so funny. Brookline does feel like sometimes people say that New Yorkers seem Jewish, even if they're not Jewish, or something about the milieu of it. And I always felt sort of similarly about Brookline, which is that it was, if you were from Brookline, you were both Jewish and a little bit sort of Boston Irish Catholic at the same time. Like you had, because you go to synagogue and you have these thick Boston accents, you know. I have like a fervent memory of like being in synagogue, and there's a part on Friday night services where you turn around and they open the door in the back of the synagogue and everyone says a brief prayer towards the back of the door and then you turn back. But I just remember someone hesitated getting the door and someone in the congregation in the middle of very, very like distinct Hebrew prayers. They went, "Stephen, get the dawah!" And I was like, how someone with like the voice of like a Father O'Leary, "Stephen, get the dawah!" Like 6 syllables in door. Dawah! Get the dawah!
How did this guy get into the temple?
Yeah. I was like, wait, that's the rabbi?
Yeah,
it's the rabbi.
It's the rabbi, Sean. Sean Hanlahan.
Oh my God.
I just love the idea that the rabbi's going on and on about the Bruins.
He's like, all right, kid. So Hashem has this problem. You know?
But first he's got to go to Dunkin'. What? Dunkin'?
There was a kosher Dunkin' down the street, and when it opened up, it was like, oh my God. The headline in the synagogue newsletter was like, "Man lands on the moon." Like kosher Dunkin' opens on Route 9.
There's a kosher Dunkin'?
There's a kosher Dunkin' on Route 9, and we were just blown up. By the way, everyone was excited. I was like, wait, what's not kosher about Dunkin' Donuts?
I know.
No,
yeah. Finally, someone got the shellfish out of the donuts.
It's lard. Apparently, it's lard. They put lard in the donuts.
You know, I've gone to that Dunkin's. I think I know which one you're talking about. And I've enjoyed the donuts, not knowing that they were kosher.
The first time I was lucky enough to do the show, the TV show, I did stand up, and then you were like, "Come over and sit on the couch." By the way, blew my mind, and I remember being like, "Don't cry, don't throw up, just like do the thing." And I sit down, and we're sitting there talking about like little Brookline landmarks and stuff like that. I'm like, "Oh, the house with the yellow roof." He's like, "Yeah, the house with the yellow roof." And like, and afterwards, I came off. My friend Morgan, who came with me, was like, "What were you guys talking about?" I'm like, if I told you, you'd either be upset or think I was lying to you, or just like wouldn't make sense. Like little tiny places in Brookline. There's such a neighborhood. It's such
a thing. And I still get sentimental. I as I said, I was just there this weekend and still driving around and stopping off and going to the old spots. And it's very powerful. But I don't know if you had this experience. It's a wonderful place to be from. But when I was 16 years old,
couldn't wait to leave.
All I did was, and I actually said to people, I can't wait to get out of this dump. And it was because I was very ambitious and 16, 17, like, I got to get out of this shithole. You know, like I'm from some...
Which you immediately accomplished by going to Harvard.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, boy, you really fled the coop.
I sure did. You know what I did? I hopped on a train like a hobo. I went 6 miles to Cambridge.
I got to spread my wings and take the 60 bus, 7 stops. Literally, I know how they... Do you know, by the way, Boston, though, is a great place for me to grow up because I think maybe it's a specific time. Maybe it's a specific time I grew up in, but people, like my parents genuinely were just like, they gave me a pair of rollerblades and let me go. And when I was like 11 years old, I would just like rollerblade around and like take the train and take the bus. And like, if I was interested in comedy, I would like sneak into the Lampoon archives because those kids were always drunk guarding the door. And I would like sneak into like go to the Kennedy Library and see like Sergeant Shriver and Doris Kearns Goodwin speak. And like, it was that time. And I was at the Red Sox all the time because I got a job there. And that was the perfect time. The city was just medium sized enough that you could eat almost all of it if you were like curious enough. And I worry that like, I don't know, there aren't many cities where like parents give their 11-year-olds a pair of rollerblades, because nobody rollerblades anymore anyway. That one homophobic joke killed it. And then like you just like and just be like, get out of here, go find something that you're interested in.
I don't think it's the city though. I think it's the time, because I was just driving down Route 9 2-3 days ago. My brother Neil's in the car and we pass this little shed, and I said, I used to wait for the bus there when school was over in 3rd grade. Myself, Virginia Chapman, and Isabel Zimmerman, we were this little tiny 3rd graders, would walk down to this little shed and wait for a city bus to come by, not a school bus, a regular bus, and get on it and then take it down to the stop that dropped me off at my house and then them at their houses. And I thought, my wife would never let our kids in 3rd grade, like when your day at 3rd grade is up, wander down to the highway and get the bus that goes into Boston and just make sure you get off on your stop.
Yeah, see if you can hitchhike if it doesn't work. You know? Just like try.
Yeah, if there's a van, just get in it. Maybe he's got candy.
I hitchhiked home all the time, genuinely. Like the T would stop at like 12:15. And if I wanted to stay, I'd be like, I'll just hitchhike. I'm like a 16-year-old, 15-year-old at like a comedy show.
Right.
At like a Dick Doherty's Comedy Vault or something like that. And be like, the show's going to 12:30. I'll just be like, anyone here want to take me, a nubile young teen, home? You know, like, just very, sorry.
I'll make it worth your while.
Oh, no.
Well, come on. It's the way to get a ride.
So he was the actual predator in this situation. Okay.
So, for the people from Brookline listening, this has been a thoroughly enjoyable.
Sorry. Can we put this at the end and everything else?
No. This episode is actually just going out regionally.
Yeah.
So.
Now for Newton.
So what do you think of Wellesley and Sharon?
Yeah, we're going to work our way slowly out until we get through the entire United States. This I have to bring up, which is the similarities. You're good friends. You've been good friends since high school. And there are some similarities. Both your fathers in the business. You lost your father at an early age. It's a very sad story. He died performing at a Friars Club roast on stage. Park your carcass, and that was a loss that clearly had a huge effect on you.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah, and.
He says something in the documentary that I didn't know, and when I heard it, I couldn't believe it. He said that when he was a kid, he used to go to sleep with the radio on, and his mother would come in while he was sleeping and turn it off at night. And one morning he woke up and the radio was still on.
It was like 3 in the morning.
3 in the morning, he woke up and he said he knew at that point that his father had died.
Because your father had been sickly, and
but he was sick my whole life. You know, he was healthier from my brothers, but by the time I was born, it was not good, and he had trouble walking. So for my life, he was ill, always ill.
Yeah.
So I was always worried about it. So it wasn't like a premonition. I thought this was happening every day.
I remembered you, I had heard about it, and then you and I got to have a dinner once, and you told me the story, and it's absolutely unbelievable. He was on the Friars Club dais, and it's 1958, and he destroys. I mean, absolutely destroys. And he's the hit of the night.
You can listen to it.
It's on YouTube. I've listened to it.
Yeah.
And then he goes back and he sits down at his seat and passes away. And it's weird because it's the thing that comedians talk about sometimes, almost in a wistful way. Like, I'd love to kill in front of a crowd and then just quickly go.
Yeah.
Right. And what I'm always amazed at is that he finished. You know,
he finishes.
It could happen on the way up to the mic. It could happen during, but he finished. So that's the coolest part.
And then they tried to save the evening.
The insane part.
They
send it. Your father. They're working on him
backstage.
Milton Berle says to a singer at the time,
Tony Martin
go up
had
there
the
and sing
number one hit in America.
And he says, sing.
Yeah, and Milton Berle didn't know what the song was. He says, go sing your hit, go sing your hit. Tony Martin stands up and he sang, and his hit was called There's No Tomorrow.
Oh,
Jesus.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Oh, fuck.
There's no tomorrow.
While they're working on your dad in the back.
Oh my God.
Good God. And now your father, of course, lived a wonderful, I think, 170 years.
Yeah.
And
98.
And was, I got to know him. He was such a beautiful man, such a lovely man, so encouraging
great man.
and absolutely lovely. The first time he came on my late night show, he came out and he said, this is my first time on the show, so I'm going to mark my territory. So he walked around to the back of the show, miming peeing it, but I don't think my crowd knew what mark your territory meant. And he sat down and it had gotten nothing. And he went, well, that completely didn't work. And that was my favorite part. My favorite part was him just saying, because any bit where you have to get up, leave the...
There's the perfect example.
Yeah.
Was Carl walking around mocking peeing great, or the fact that your audience didn't like it, was it shitty?
Or didn't understand it. Yeah.
I'd say it was great.
Last night, I was at CBS where we shot All in the Family and all this stuff, and they had a special for Dick Van Dyke, who's 98, turning 98. And I opened the thing and introduced it and talked about how the first pilot of the Van Dyke Show was my dad did it. He started, and it was called Head of the Family, and it didn't sell. And Sheldon Leonard, who was producing the show, said, the script is great. We just need to find a better you. And that's where he got
Enter Dick Van Dyke.
And I tell that story. I told that story at the beginning.
It's funny. I've seen the footage of the original Dick Van Dyke Show, which didn't have Dick Van Dyke. I've seen the footage of your dad in that role, and it looks insane.
Yeah.
Because it's like if someone showed you Casablanca, but instead of Humphrey Bogart,
Ed Wynn.
Yeah, exactly. Going, ooh.
Doesn't that sound like a Sinatra song he never recorded? We just need to find a better you.
Yes, a better you. So he was encouraging of you being in comedy? Was he worried for you?
He didn't say anything. He never said yes or no. And so I never knew. I mean, I didn't know. It wasn't until I was like 19 and I directed a production of No Exit, of all things. It was Jean-Paul Sartre, Richard Dreyfuss was in it, and that was the first time I ever got anything from my dad, where he came backstage and he says, that was good, no bullshit. And he looked me in the eye and said that. So the only time he ever gave me any kind of encouragement. And I went to visit him at his house then the next day, and he said, I'm not worried about you. You're going to be okay, whatever you want to do. But I was already 19.
I saw something. I mentioned this to you once, and I feel like I failed because I can't find it. But somewhere I saw footage, because briefly you were part of a doubles act. You were partnered with Joey Bishop's son.
Yeah, Larry Bishop.
Larry Bishop. And someone with like a Super 8 camera, right after you've done a show, maybe it's 1968, 69, takes you out onto a fire escape and interviews both of you.
Wow.
And they're talking to both of you about you having famous dads.
Yeah.
And I saw this thing and I thought, well, surely you've seen this. And then you said you've never seen it.
I've never seen it. And Larry and I opened at the Hungry Eye for Carmen McRae. And we were booked into all those nightclubs, the ones, the Rooster Tail in Detroit, Mr. Kelly's in Chicago, Paul's Mall, the Bitter End. We were booked into everyone. And after that run, he said, I can't do this anymore.
By the way, before that in high school, I had an act with Larry.
Yeah.
And this is funny. Al and Larry, we were in high school. And there was no such thing as an improv or any place. A guy on Cahuenga named Laird Brooks Schmidt. He looked like Ernie Kovacs. Mm-hmm. He opened his house. He called it Laird's Lair. So you could...
that was the thing. It was a...
That's not a pedophile.
No. Here was the rule.
Creeps right now all over America are hearing this going, that's it! It's a comedy club!
Here was the rule. you could perform there if you brought the audience. So Larry and I had to bring our friends from high school who heard the same bits at lunch. This time they had to pay $5 and sit in a guy's house.
It's in a living room.
Yeah,
a guy's living room.
It's the same thing. And they're looking at us like, oh, okay, but what is this? This was lunch. And, well, it's a club. And it was a guy's house. First thing I've ever seen in this city that even got strangers together at a person's house.
And how long did that guy's thing last?
Till he came.
He had a very strange proclivity. Very strange proclivity.
I absolutely loved the documentary, Albert Brooks, Defending My Life, and thought it was beautifully done. And what was great was this has been long overdue because your body of work, Albert, is insanely rich and ingenious and inspiring for generations of comedians. But it took a friend, because you guys knew each other. You met in high school?
Right.
You met in high school.
Yes. And we've known each other for 60 years. And I always wanted to do this when, you remember the film, My Dinner with Andre, when it came out? I thought at that point, I said to Albert, come on, we'll go to a deli. We'll sit down. It'll be my lunch with Albert and we'll do it. And he never wanted to do it at that point. But then at a certain point, I don't know what made you change your mind, but we decided to do it. And that became the centerpiece of the documentary. The two of us just sitting in a restaurant and talking.
Someone came to me before Rob with the idea of doing a documentary, and it didn't work out. But then the idea was like, the idea, but to do it is good. So then I was having dinner with Rob, and do you ever want to do my lunch with Albert? And I said, well, what if we combine this? We do that, and then we also broaden it out and do clips and talk to people.
Well, the absolute rocket fuel are the bits, and because the comedic bits that you were doing. They're evergreen. My favorite comedy has not been topical. I always thought what you were doing was absolutely magical because it was concept driven. And every single sketch bit that you've done, whether it was on the Tonight Show or the Flip Wilson Show or the Johnny Cash Show, there are people who had shows. I can't believe who had a show. Everybody had a show.
Everybody
Conan O'Brien.
Yeah, exactly. Even Conan O'Brien
had a show. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
But you said
everybody,
it, Conan. You said it in the documentary that it was like he broke the sound barrier. It was like Chuck Yeager.
Yes.
And they found a new way of presenting comedy. And Albert was...
Well, that's been misinterpreted. What I was saying is Albert's as funny as Chuck Yeager. And then people took it this other way.
And who was funnier, Kissinger or Chuck Yeager?
I would say Yeager.
That's not the fair thing.
But you did a kind of, there was a kind of comedy that you started.
I made up a joke the other day.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Neil Armstrong was at a party and told these people a joke and no one laughed. He told a joke about the moon and no one laughed. And he said, well, I guess you had to be there.
I was with you. I love this moment. First time I met Albert was at this event, and I'd never met him before. And I was, I'll back up just a second because I was so relieved. You said something in the documentary, Rob, that resonated with me, which is, I think I've met everybody, just about everybody, and I'm never intimidated. I was intimidated to meet Albert. I was worried about it. I thought we're probably going to bump into each other at some point, and I felt a little queasy about it. And then you say in the documentary that you always were intimidated by Albert.
Well, it's not just intimidated. You just, where is this coming from? This mind. I've never met anybody that had a mind that works that way. And other comics, established comics, Larry David in the documentary says the same thing, that he was, so happy when Albert gave him approval to a joke he said or something like that. You have to understand, in the circles I was with, I don't care who they were. It was Robin Williams, Billy Crystal. I don't care who were when we got together and people started spritzing. When Albert went, it was like, challenge dance when everybody's challenging. When Albert started, everybody backed off.
Yeah.
Everybody backed off because they knew that, here comes the guy. Here's Babe Ruth stepping into the cage. And
I always thought it was a cool thing. And then when I got married, my wife said, it's because you never shower.
You think that's why they backed off? Yeah.
Yeah,
I remember she had good personal hygiene.
It was so funny because Albert was the first time I met you. You won't remember this, but we were standing, it was someone's house. We're standing by a pool, and you told me a joke. You told me a story that was really funny, and I laughed, legitimately laughed. It was a very funny story. And you had some friend with you who I didn't know, and the friend just kind of shrugged and said, well, I guess you had to be there. And you turned on your friend and went, no, he laughed. Yeah. Apparently, you didn't have to be there. Yeah. And I was in the moment watching, and
I
Albert.
Remember, I said, don't you understand that expression?
Yeah.
That's when nobody laughs. If somebody laughs, you don't have to be anywhere.
You don't have to be anywhere.
A stupid man.
I don't know who it was, but forever in my mind, I cherish that moment.
But Albert, we talked about this in the documentary. Albert would go on national television, live television, without ever trying out the bit he was going to do.
Yes.
That to me is, talk about working without a net. I mean, this is, in the case, Annette Funicello, which was what would make anybody good.
Uh-huh.
But that's bordering on you had to be there.
Well, he had to know that reference. But he would do this, and we shared a house together, and I don't remember it exactly, but he did the first time he did the mime piece. I don't think it worked. Did it work the first time you did it?
Well, the very first time, I don't think it worked. It was the Steve Allen show.
Yeah,
and
it worked. So
nobody knew anybody.
The point is, he came out. He was doing a mime. And he came out in the white face and the leotards, and he never stopped talking.
It's so funny.
And so it's a brilliant piece, and it didn't play the way it should have. And then time goes by, and I think you were called to do the Tonight Show or something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I said, Albert, what are you going to do on the show tonight? He says, I'm going to do the mime piece. And I said, yeah, but it didn't do well. He says, yeah, but it's funny. Yeah. I said, I know it's funny, but it didn't get the kind of... He says, yeah, but it's funny. And that's the thing that I learned about Albert, which is, it is funny. The audience has to catch up to it. They just have to know it. And Johnny Carson was hosting, and he came out, and the same kind of thing where they were a little bit hesitant. They didn't know. Johnny went.
Yeah.
And I was there. Johnny literally fell off his chair, and the audience said, I see.
Yes.
I get what this is.
A lot of times, in my experience, if the audience is looking at the host and they want permission and that they need permission, and then they know everything's okay.
Yeah.
And so that bit, come out and you're talking and you're describing, I am now walking against the wind, I'm doing it, but then it just goes into stand-up comedy as a mime about my wife. And, she said she lost 30 pounds. And I said, look behind you, you'll find it. And you're in total mime makeup and you're doing it. And the thing is that I think when I talked in the doc about breaking the sound barrier, to me, it's about the level of commitment. And it's why I think it was no surprise that you turned out to be such an excellent actor. When you were doing these pieces, I think there was a time in show business where you needed to let everybody know, I'm in show business. These are jokes. Let's have a good time. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. And what you were doing was this like De Niro-like commitment to whatever you're talking about. You're looking down the barrel of the lens and you're saying, this is a very serious thing I'm doing right now. I really am the world's best pickpocket. I'm very good at it. And then you proceed to be absolutely miserable at it. But I think it's the idea combined with the intensity of the attack. That's what I always thought no one else was doing.
Yeah.
And now I think we see that, that you made it okay for everybody to sort of work.
I mean, with respect to people, the audience is the last to know anything. I never understood the idea of doing it for an audience because the audience doesn't know anything until they see it. So if you do anything they haven't seen before, you don't get immediately rewarded. Like when you're previewing a movie with cards, the movies that get 100 are the movies they've seen every other weekend.
Right. They're familiar.
So they're familiar.
Yeah.
Unfamiliar doesn't get a good grade.
Yeah.
But what do? You just never do it.
Yeah,
I mean, it's the same.
right.
It's the same if we go into a restaurant and it's a fine restaurant and we're served a dish. We don't know anything about this. We take the word of the person who owns the restaurant, and we taste something we've never tasted. And if the world didn't have that possibility, and by the way, I think show business that's the holy grail, is no risk.
Yeah.
And I think as algorithms get mature and as more executives get parking spots, the risk is less and less because it's a business. Why do you want to take a risk?
I mean, I learned from Albert, when I saw how committed he was to doing that bit, even though when we first screened Spinal Tap, which, it was, Albert had done real life before that, but this was the first kind of about rock and roll, and it was a mock documentary, and we previewed it in Dallas, and people came up to me afterwards and they said, I don't understand. Why would you make a movie about a band that nobody's ever heard of and one that's so bad? And so it's like, they didn't know what we were doing. It took them a while to figure out that we're making fun of this, and I learned from Albert, you got to stick to your guns, and hopefully the audience will catch up.
Yeah, it's a thing where, again, this is just, we were talking about David Letterman earlier. For me, you were like Letterman because I didn't watch Letterman. So that was comedy. To me, it was The Simpsons, SNL, Seinfeld, and Conan was late night to me. So this is a weird thing for me.
Well, that's very cool of you to say. And we're just going to put that on the loop. If you don't mind. We're just going to put that over and over and over again.
Truly, it's more of a function of my age. It's not like I like you better than Letterman. I just didn't
exactly.
watch it. It's really just my age.
No, exactly. Exactly. You just weren't alive when Dave was hitting it out of the park. That's all. I'll start, first of all, by congratulating you on the podcast you're doing with Mr. Rob Lowe, and it's called Parks and Recollection. This is a show that I'm very excited about. Yes, full disclosure, it's part of our Team Coco empire, if you will. But you guys talking about that show, which I really admire, which you wrote on, and so you have all this access to how it was put together, as does Rob from a different angle. Sounds like a very cool project.
Yeah, and it has you producing has nothing to do with me being here. Zero.
Oh, not at
zero.
all. I had, let me tell you something, Alan. I'm at a point in my career where I don't even know what I'm involved in anymore. So
it's an empire. It's an empire.
It's
Shondaland, No,
it really is. It really is. And so there are times where people remind me, "Hey, Conan, you have a big part of ExxonMobil.
Right.
Like you're a major stockholder." And I'm like, "Oh, I didn't know."
And that's when you encourage them to just forget safety precautions, send the boats out there no matter what the weather conditions are.
Hey, they're getting paid. The last time I checked, they were getting money. And I say, if there's rough seas in the North Atlantic, get out there and get the oil. That's what I say to them.
Who cares where the icebergs are? No, but the podcast has been really fun. We just started recording it, and God, at first, to be honest, I was like, I don't know if I want to watch all these episodes again. It's a lot of time.
Well, let's bring people up to date. You worked were you there the entire time?
I was
Parks
there
and Rec?
for 125 episodes. As far as writers go, Mike Scher, the co-creator, and me, I think we're the only ones who were there the whole time. So,
right.
Yeah. So.
And so you were there at that show, and I remembered I'm obviously very good friends with Greg Daniels, who was responsible for bringing The Office to the United States, and then, of course, had a hand in getting Parks and Rec going. And so I was very familiar with both shows, and I remember The Office had kind of a slow start initially, and then took off. Parks and Rec, it didn't happen right away for Parks and Rec.
It's still taking off now. It's 2021. I think it was though. Season 1, it was definitely almost an identical trajectory to The Office. And I think for similar reasons, because if you look at The Office, what Greg did with The Office, again, a brilliant show. He's adapting it from a British one. And so the first season's a little bit closer to the British one. And then the second season kind of sprouts its wings and flies on its own and becomes its own thing. And Parks and Rec started, as was conceived at first, was maybe going to be an Office spinoff. And then it wasn't. And so that first season, I think Mike and Greg were still trying to work out kinks and trying to feel, okay, how different from The Office tonally, et cetera.
Right.
And then second season, it really starts taking off. And part of that was taking on Amy Poehler's personality as well and making use of her. So
a really good TV show, in my opinion, is not a finite thing. It's an organism. The shows I've always really loved, if you look at The Simpsons, for example, you can look at the first season, and Dan Castellaneta does not have Homer's voice yet.
Yeah.
His way into Homer was he sort of thought of his voice as being a Walter Matthau kind of voice. And you can listen to that first year of The Simpsons, and it's a lot of boy.
Yeah, it's a lot of boy.
Boy, get here, boy. Now you listen to me. And then it changes, and then they find it. And I think shows, like a lot of things, and probably like a restaurant or so many endeavors, you need to figure it out. You find it by doing it. And I think people sometimes misunderstand and think it's a widget. It's something that's manufactured and you're cranking them out and you do 22 and then the next 22. The only way you really know what your show is by doing it. My late night shows were constantly changing and morphing, and often sometimes not by design. It was just sheer desperation. We don't have anything today. I know. What if a bear masturbated?
Yeah.
And then suddenly you're off on that. And you've hit what many call a renaissance.
Of the form of television, of television in general.
Well, just as far as masturbation humor goes, I think quite fairly a renaissance. But yeah, it's fascinating to me that these things evolve, and it was not all assigned on day one.
It's fascinating. It's exactly what you said, which is, and you lived on the long end of this, right? You're doing a daily show,
Right.
You can really react to what the audiences think, how they're reacting, what you're like as a host, what Andy's doing, whatever, all of that stuff, you can react. It's a read and react type thing. And so with a show like Parks, they don't make that shows that run that long anymore. So, we went on to do Master of None. It's been 6 years. We've done 25 episodes of Master. It's so crazy.
Aziz is now, I tuned in the other day, he's 65 years old.
Yeah. It just
and he's on his third hip.
Yeah.
Yes, that kind of television where you're just cranking it out every day and going through massive arcs, sort of creative arcs over 3-month periods.
Yeah.
And people saw it or they didn't. There was no checking it out later on online. Now when you go back and watch it, and for a lot of people for the first time, they say, wait a minute, there's something going on here. And I think that's what's happened with Parks and Rec, is that it's enjoyed a renaissance. I'm friends with Nick Offerman, and he's said the same thing. Like, this is fascinating that people are finding the show now. And it's been, what has it been, 10 years since you guys made one?
Yeah, and it's a fun as hell rewatch. That's what I'm realizing while rewatching it. It's almost perfectly designed for right now, 2020, 2021, the darkest time in a long time, where everyone's indoors. You're looking for something warm, something heartfelt, something comforting. It's a great rewatch. I sound like an NBC executive right now, but literally, like, while watching it's
I was going into night terrors. Just something. I smell sulfur in the room.
What's up? This is Mike Diamond, Mike D, and I feel optimistically uncertain about being Conan O'Brien's friend.
I'm Adam Horovitz. Hi, my name is Adam Horovitz. That's what it says on the paper. AKA Ad Rock of the Beastie Boys, or just Beastie Boys. And I feel, I don't know, I feel like I'd be kind of bullshitting if I said, we've met before, but I certainly would like to be, but I'm not yet friends with Conan O'Brien.
You're saying you're okay with the idea of us being friends?
No, yeah, I have enough friends. Is that bad?
It's kind of like I'm trying to sell you a Kia.
I have a Kia.
A used Kia that's not in great shape.
I have a used
Adam
Kia
has a
that's not
Kia,
in
and
great
I've
You
been-
have a okay, so
Yeah.
but that would mean you wouldn't want another one.
No.
What about
See,
a
that's
Porsche?
the problem.
I'm trying to go
How
a
did
little
I know you
higher.
had a Kia? I just
Just,
knew it.
I just like dirty Kia. That's me.
When you say dirty, is there just a lot of crud inside the car?
So gross.
It's just, can I interject here?
Sure, Mike.
Please,
sure.
and you don't even have to ask.
It's
you may
disgusting. It's like literally disgusting. Like old, caked up like old cereal and stuff inside. It's
I don't
gross.
eat cereal in my car. I'm not an
Well,
animal.
what is all that food crap?
There's
in there?
other
It's
food, but I
disgusting.
don't like. I don't go to my
I was
car
just-
with a bowl of cereal.
Guys, I was just back
crazy.
in Boston, and my older brother Neil. I went for a ride in his car. It's the dirtiest car I've seen. It had just crud caked on the inside, and at one point, there's a little panel that if you push, it opens up. It's not the glove compartment, but it's just for I don't know, just some Tic Tacs, whatever you might want. I pushed on it, opened up, maybe 19 packets of ketchup from a fast food restaurant, and I said, "What the fuck?" And he went.
Yeah.
It's nice. If you need ketchup, it's right there.
Yeah.
And they're free when you go through a drive-through.
Yeah.
So is this the kind of animal you are?
Can we like move on from this? For me? I mean, jeez, you guys.
Okay, so
How
you
was
guys
your
are,
day so far?
So good. Can't complain. Yeah, got some ketchup
You're right.
packets. I'm
we have
good.
more important things
Yeah.
to talk about. We have met. You guys performed on my show in the past. You did an interview. I remember bumping into you a couple of times in New York. I was always super happy because I was a big fan of the music, but I also always found you guys, Beastie Boys, really funny. And that was in the music, it was in the videos. And I always thought that was kind of integral to what you were doing. Am I correct about that?
Yeah.
We talk about it, and I feel like actually it's a thing that I don't know. This is maybe dangerous territory here, but I think there's a lot of our audience that doesn't get that or hasn't at different points, different junctures over time.
I don't see how that's possible because from the very beginning, when you guys first hit the scene, I remember thinking they're funny. Like your early videos, and this is years before I got a late night show. I remember thinking these are funny guys. They're New York funny. There's a quickness to them, and also there's a satirical edge to them right away. And I love the music, and I know we're here to talk about. It's 30 years since Ill Communication, which, by the way, I've been listening to 'cause in anticipation of you guys coming up and listening to it over and over again. Still holds up. Brilliant work. But even when I listen to that, I can hear the sense of humor in there. And am I wrong? It feels very New York.
Well, yeah, we're from New York.
From New York. Yeah.
And
Well, that's all the time we have. This is called where
We've
people are
established.
from.
We've established
good at
that.
this.
All I do is geolocate people, and then we kind of
Then
wrap it
that's
up. But New
Thanks,
York,
guys.
we have
Thanks.
it.
Okay.
Blay, send this off to the printer.
No
The
problem.
guy who doesn't know how a podcast works.
Yeah, no, I we met in high school. We were friends. We've just been friends this whole time. And what do you do with your friends? You just have, you're supposed to just have fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we kind of, when we were, in high school making music, it was fun. And so we figured we'd just go with that.
Yeah, but could I add on?
You don't need to
a
ask
little
permission.
something?
You can just go.
No, I do because otherwise,
may I interject?
you don't understand. Like otherwise, he's gonna be like, Mike, I was speaking here. So like by me
I feel like I said
asking
it, but
permission, it's
All right.
I'm like I'm taking
maybe I
that
do need new
away
friends.
from happening.
That's why I'm here. Because Mike is a pain in the ass.
Oh my God. I asked to do this by
Jesus.
myself.
Yeah. No, but I think like we grew up at a certain time also in New York where it was like we come, Adam and I anyway, Yauk was an only child, but we come from families. So I think like there's this necessity when you're like at a New York City table, read culturally Jewish table where everybody is speaking on top of each other.
Mm-hmm.
Like you kind of have to figure out how to be funny to
Yep.
survive. Otherwise, yeah, it's just your way.
That is your
dealing with the world. And then I think, I don't know, I remember from like a really young age, like we always, when we first became friends, like we all had Monty Python's Big Red Book, which was blue. The cover was blue.
Yep.
and that was like as important to us as like any punk rock record or something. You know what I mean? That was like a very high. That was like just something that was important. It was important to us to aspire to be funny like that.
I always started out getting into music, through the Beatles as a kid. But I always remembered, and then became crazily into their lore and learning everything about them. The thing I always remember is whenever you ask like George Martin or something, when he first met the Beatles, what grabbed you about them, he never said it was the music. He said it was their sense of humor. And I always thought that's not possible. It must have been the music. And he went, no, the music was okay. It was their sense of humor. And then of course they were integrated. Yeah. It's part of the same, I don't know. It's part of the language of the music is the comedy to me anyway.
No, I agree. And the Beatles were huge Peter Sellers. They were like huge fans of the Goon Show
fans. Yeah.
And that you could see once you kind of like, you geek out enough and you do the nerd searches of the Goon Show and on YouTube and stuff. And you realize like a lot of their humor, they were students of that.
Yeah,
for sure. Or contemporaries.
I've always had a memory because you guys have that line about never rock the mic with the pantyhose. When I was on late night and there was a band setting up who shall go unnamed just because I don't think anyone remembers them, but they had a hit that week.
Wow.
And they were setting up and we could watch them prepare on camera because the cameras were just on throughout 30 Rock. So I'm getting ready for the show, doing my stuff, and I see this guy getting ready. And then I see him tying panties and bras to his mic stand. And I go downstairs and I go in and I say to the guy, you got to take those off your mic stand. And he said, but this is our act. And I said, if that's your act, you have no act.
Oh man.
But I only did it because I remembered.
Right.
Is
that pantyhose? Is that pantyhose?
It wasn't pantyhose.
So you're kind of like passively aggressively blaming that action on us, basically.
I'm saying you're responsible for this. Listen, they weren't going anywhere.
Also,
he was at a hardware store 2 weeks later.
Their families remember them. Their friends remember them.
No, they were all taken away.
Yeah.
Because that's how bad the band was.
But also, to be clear, but the lyric is about this is not pantyhose on our mics that we're using now, but it's it's kind of like a technical term, pop
So
filter.
I misheard your lyrics, took it out on a guy who was just trying to make it on a late night appearance, and now they're all gone.
I'm
Everybody.
backing you. They're doing it all wrong because there's no pop filter aspect. That's some tchotchkes he's putting on his mic stand. I mean, it's disgraceful.
It was Steven Tyler's shit, and it had to stop.
I mean, it's Steven Tyler. At least it's Steven Tyler. He's supposed to have
Aerosmith. People know Aerosmith.
I know. They did go on to have quite a lot of success.
Yeah.
Were they on Aerosmith?
Oh, do you think Aerosmith were on Joe Franklin?
Is that Conan O'Brien bump?
Wait. All right, wait, but hold on. Aerosmith could have been on Joe Franklin.
They had to have been on Joe Franklin in like 72.
Everybody was on Joe Franklin. And Joe Franklin, I was not on Joe Franklin, but we had Joe Franklin on my show in like 93.
Really?
Yeah, or 94.
That's pretty cool.
And I think I sat in a hot tub with him.
Wait,
it's
what?
possible.
In a hot tub?
I'm going to ask listeners.
Was he fully clothed or not?
Well, I don't want to talk about it.
On the show.
Yeah, we're shutting it down. We're shutting it down.
Okay, fair enough.
I want to congratulate you both on this incredible run.
Of being old?
No, of just making it to this podcast.
Okay.
Of all the things you've achieved, you could argue this is the acme of your career.
It's a bookend. Joe Franklin.
Not without, I don't want to get whatever sappy or anything, but when you go back and listen to the music, one of you is not here. Is it a joyous thing for you to hear, Adam, when you're listening to that music now? Is it ever rough to listen to him, or is enough time gone by where it's all good?
It's definitely not. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well, I'd say we probably didn't, neither of us listened to, not to burst the bubble. Well, we don't listen to we're not going to listen to, I mean, you go back and watch old episode of your show or The Simpsons
at night I wear a tattered wedding dress and just watch in my mansion. No, I don't. I don't.
Shocking. We're not the audience for our own music, but no, I don't know. I think it's all of the above. I think enough time has gone. There was definitely a period of time where it just, I couldn't even open up a computer music file of something that we are working on, because I would just get too sad. The process would bring me right back to making, because we really worked with Adam up to very close to the very, very end, because that's what made him happy. So anyway, but that I feel like that time has sort of worked its way through, and then there's times like I'll hear something and be like, oh yeah, oh, like the rest is like when because now I think once in a while like our things will get licensed to like I don't we'll give a sync license to like Mario Brothers or something, so you'll be like on an airplane or something, and that will you'll have forgotten, or at least at my point of aging, I'll have forgotten that we've licensed that song, and then the thing will come on the airplane. I'll be like, oh yeah, oh, that's kind of it's sort of actually nice.
Beastie Boys music in a good way is it's out there. It's you're going to hear it. It's not. It's you don't have to go looking for it to hear it in the best way. So I'm just curious if that when you hear your own music, is it evocative of anything, or do you just think like, yep, that was then, this is now?
Well, two things. For me, I feel very similar. It was very hard at first because not only, did we record all the music together with Adam, but we were also, best friends for decades. And so we were together every day. And so when you lose a friend like that, it's really, really hard. And, not everybody has a friend who's like a musician whose voice you hear every day. It was hard. It's definitely less shitty now. Right. But the thing about us hearing our music, like for me, hearing the music, the whole thing is weird. Do you know what I mean? That anybody likes our band, that we've played at Madison Square Garden, or that we have platinum records, or that people want to listen to it. The whole
platinum records that are not our records,
multiple platinum records. The whole thing is weird. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when you hear it in a movie or you hear it from a car or something, it's very weird. Still, I don't think it'll always be weird.
I think that's healthy because it is miraculous. Anything like that is miraculous. And to get to a point where it's like, but of course, for we are the Beastie Boys. It's just like therein lies
we're
madness.
also not like, we don't know how to make songs. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
Is we don't know how to like craft a perfect song and write a good melody that brings you in with like the pre-chorus into the chorus with the vamp and the thing. We don't actually know how to do that.
So what you're saying, Adam, is you might have been like a potential Hunts Hall, but you were
We've been bullshitting this whole time.
But you were
and
no
it worked
Linda
out.
Perry.
I am Hunts Hall, not Linda Perry.
Yeah.
Well, congrats on the 30th anniversary. Yes.
Oh wait, no, I have a question though. So I mean, because
you're not allowed to ask me questions. That's not how this works. Yeah, go ahead.
No, but I just think it's funny. Like what Adam's saying, like I really think did resonate with all three of us, even when Yak was alive. Of just that we felt like, how does this work? That we're just basically making these inside jokes, and that it actually other people get let in, right? It's sort of miraculous that other people could even appreciate them. But when you're crafting a bit on whatever level, whether you're writing for somebody else or your own,
but anyway, yeah.
But all right,
but no, what
writing. But just do you feel the same way that like, oh, this is just something we thought was funny to us? Like, I can't believe that it's going out on the air and people think
most
it's
of my career has been, all of my career, I think, has been me thinking of things that I think might make one of my other comedy people laugh. And then later on, someone's talking to you about it because they saw it on television or it meant something to them. And I still find that crazy. It's just, we're all getting away with highway robbery. Just we're having fun and making things that delight ourselves, and then it's a thing, and so it's nice. I think I'll always be more fascinated by your side of the business, by music, because I try to understand it, but I don't. It's not in me. I like to play it. I like to play at it, but to create music on the level that you guys did is mysterious to me and really endlessly fascinating. And every comedian I know secretly wishes that they were in a group and they were making music and playing Madison Square Garden.
No, but there is a huge comedy music
Yes.
crossover appreciation. Like when that last video that we did that Yauk directed for Make Some Noise, and we had for some reason you weren't in it, but we had basically every
Sounds like you
comedian.
were close, but
we had
not
every
actually in the
comedian
video.
alive
You were in
was
the commissary.
in it.
I remember me insinuating.
And I don't mean that as a shot.
No.
I
think it was shot on the Warner Brothers lot, and I'm talking. I was talking to Yalk, and it would have been so easy for him to say, "Hey, Conan,
do you want to hop in?"
You got 5 minutes.
I mean, and I think he had a camera rolling.
Yeah, I mean, he's like, I
remember him pushing me out of the way of the camera.
He actively avoided asking you to be in it.
He leaned against me to push me out of the way of the camera.
Yeah. He was like,
Remember him.
you know
Very
Will Ferrell.
hands-on
He was
director.
like, you know
Yeah.
Will Ferrell, right?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I mean, he just happens to be here.
Yeah.
He's not.
No, he wanted my Rolodex. That's what he wanted. But no, there is a funny crossover, and I think that's why I always think when I would see you guys, I would think, oh, to make music that everyone wants to sing along to, but also get to be funny at the same time, as you guys were. It was like that'd be fun. But no, I'm here with you, Sona.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I love it.
Oh, okay, that's
Right.
nice. This
Not
is
you
fun.
specifically, but
this.
but I love the process.
That's okay.
Guys, I'm going to wrap it up just because I'm not getting paid. It has been 30
Yeah,
years.
where are the sponsorship breaks? Like, where are the?
We don't do those here. That's
like
I won't have. That's dirty
like,
linen.
Where's the ads for
Casper
medicinal
mattresses and stuff.
marijuana and stuff? Like, where?
We used to have really fun ads, and then this is like a crazy humble brag, but at the beginning, and then this thing got big where the ads now are all for like legitimate, boring companies. It used to be for like fracture prints, which turned photographs into glass, and I had more fun doing those ads.
Yeah.
And then it became, American Express. And you're like, that's no fun.
Magoosh.
Magoosh was fun.
Yeah.
Please, I don't want to waste their time.
Magoosh?
I don't really remember what it was, but he just kept. The name of the company was Magoosh, and you just kept screaming.
Okay, please.
Sorry.
Now please. We don't want them to get into the Magoosh thing. Guys,
You can't call me a magoosh. It's a magoosh.
I'm a Magoosh. You're a Magoosh. I don't remember what Magoosh did. Gentlemen, I thank you for being here. It was really nice having you, and I wish you both well. Please come back if you ever can.
Thank you.
Because you're super smart, funny, gifted people, and it's nice to hang with you, and I appreciate it.
Like I said before, we don't have jobs, so we're around.
You're welcome to work here if you like.
Well, let's not get crazy. It's just nice to be here.